Thank you so much for doing this, dude. I appreciate it.
It's actually my pleasure, man. I mean, I know that um, we started kind of doing this at the same time, and
Yes.
I don't know how we found each other. Either you rated me or I rated you. Maybe you rated me, I think.
I actually remember this.
Okay.
I was very, very, very new. Like I think I might have had like maybe sub 10 followers or around that sort of level. Like I'd maybe done it for a couple of weeks
Yeah.
and I was trying to look for like-minded people because I sort of realized that just streaming a game, people aren't just going to like come on in, like, and I was like, I need to try and find some people and
Yeah.
like watch some people and shit like that. And it was FF8 actually that you were playing.
Oh
And
shit.
I remember coming in and I'd been going through a few other FF8, but because it's like one of the games I really like and I can just kick back and enjoy the music too.
Yep.
And you were in some discussion with someone about the nature of like, does evil exist? I was like, all right, let me put my feet up. This is going to be good. And that was it.
Philosophy bros.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get started as well, I just have to say, and no word of lie, I swear to God, you have the best emote on Twitch right now.
I you know what?
I'm not even.
At first, I was like, oh, he's just saying that. And then now, like, I lurk in people's streams and I'm starting to see that emote pop up.
They do it, dude. You hit something.
And I'm just
you hit
like,
something.
Yeah, but like, I promise you, and I need you to believe me, what it looks like is the actual attempt. There was no meaning behind that. I was just sitting here and found a pixel art program, and I was just like,
but that's what it is though. Like that, it is. There's something kind of pure about it. Like it's kind of a meme, but it's also very clean and self-explanatory.
Yeah, and I also, like at first I was talking to Kai. Kai's my mod to anybody who's watching this.
Shout out to
Kai about it. Shout out to Ichikai. Um, I was saying like, should I get rid of the green in the background? Like it, maybe I should make it transparent so it's just the face, right? And he goes, no, man, no,
the
no,
green
the lime
pops.
green, the lime green square is what makes it. And I was
Seriously,
like, okay, I think I believe you. Yeah.
No, it pops. It gives it more of that like MS Paint kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean, and especially I think it speaks volumes to like, we joke around a lot. We call ourselves boomers, but like,
yes,
it speaks a lot. I don't think we're boomers. I think it just it speaks a lot to our generation of people who like grew up with like those, YTMND and Newgrounds type like meme factories of just the worst memes.
yes,
but they're like the original memes, right? So
yeah, we're not really boomers, are we? We're kind of late millennials.
I think we're actually because we're the exact same age. I think we are among the last years of millennials.
Right. Such a weird age to be at as well. I was
34.
I've had this conversation with many people. Yeah. Like it's a weird age to be at in the time we're in, but it's just a weird age. Like it feels like such a transitional time, like I feel that I'm old enough to have been in high school without a phone. Like I'm old enough to have been somebody that had facial hair, like sort of, and didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
But then young enough where it's not like where I was still young when it came in. So it's like, I feel like it's such a fringe, like that 5-year period.
And I'm sure that happens to everybody when they hit 34, right? To a certain degree. But I think that like, and I mean, everybody says this, and I've said this to my father and all my parents. I do have 3 parents. It happens.
Really? Nice.
I've got a father, a stepmother, and a mother. And the stepmother's been in my life since I was 5. So she's
that's a
mom version 2, right?
Yeah.
I've said it to all of them, and they've kind of said like, "Oh, it happens for everybody," but they've come along now and they've realized, no, it is different. We were 12 to 14 when the internet was really becoming accessible in the home, right?
Yes, PC with the dial-up.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, you can have 20 minutes on the internet to download that one Green Day song, Adam, is what my dad would say on Napster.
Ah, shit. Yeah, Napster.
But it's real. I mean, yeah, no, for sure. And that's an interesting thing because there's not a lot of people nowadays who can say, I grew up playing with sticks in a gully,
Mm.
and I also grew up playing Super Metroid and playing Flash games on the internet.
Yeah, that's it. Like I would
Right?
be like climbing trees
Yeah.
and then going and playing Super Mario World at a friend's house.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those two things, there's not many eras. Like the tree era was for fucking ever, probably up until then. But yeah,
Well,
that
pretty much, yeah.
but that
Yeah.
transitional era is a really brief one, I think.
And that's what I mean. And when I have discussions with my family about it, it's kind of like I try to draw attention to, like, it's almost, actually, no, it is. I used to say it's almost, but now that I've been spending, to your viewers, I'm a mature student in university, and as I've been spending time in university, I find myself at a closer age to the professors than I do the students sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And so I get on with the professors, right?
Mm.
Because regardless if I have a PhD or not, I have the same life experience they have, and we often talk about things like, where was I going with this? We were talking about how the internet was the biggest social revolution since the Gutenberg press,
Yep.
and we're alive for it.
Yeah, we're in it.
Right? And we're not only are we in it, we're creating it,
Mm.
and I think that transitions really well into what we're talking about with Twitch.
I feel like I should probably, because basically what, it was about a week ago, maybe even less, that I approached you and was like, "Hey, dude, I want to do a thing. Can you give me an hour of your time?"
I want to say it was on the weekend.
Yeah, it was just a few days ago, I guess, and it
Yeah, which
came
for
to
anybody
me.
watching, this was 4 days ago.
Yep, exactly. It came to me after a technical failure that because I've been trying to work on some other stuff. I've been trying to branch out a little bit,
Hmm.
and I started trying to make this other video that was just me talking, and I recorded it, and then it didn't really work. Like it was in the wrong format. It was in FLV or something like that.
Mm,
But at first I was really annoyed, and then I started like watching it in the FLV anyway. I'm like, oh God, I look like an asshole. This is shit. Like I don't want to do this. Like it was just me, just like it almost looked like I was pretending to have all the knowledge in the world, like giving tips and advice. I'm like, I don't fucking know shit. And so like that kind of came to me in that moment. I'm like, why don't I actually just speak with other people? Like rather than pretending to know shit, why don't I have conversations with people? You know?
yep.
And so the idea came, like there's so many through how long, I'd say I've been on Twitch for about 4-ish months. It'd be about the same for you, I imagine.
Think. So when would you say you started? In May?
I think it was
April? Late April?
late April ish.
So I started end of March.
Okay.
So, in the grand scheme of things, yes, about the
Yeah,
same amount of time.
basically the same
It may
time.
not seem like that now, but in 2 years, it's going to be the exact same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and so in that time, you do meet so many people, many of whom are streaming, were streaming, plan to stream, or just Twitch users, have just been on Twitch. Like I've had people come in and go, like, I remember it was months ago now, I asked something and they just said, like, trust me, buddy, I've been watching people on Twitch for 6 years now. Like, you should
Yeah.
not do this or something like that. And I've just like,
Right.
there's so many people who are in this thing that's kind of new to me that I feel like it's a very easy way to actually meet people in a different way.
I mean, I think, and to preface this,
Mm.
for anybody watching, you and I have spoken about this a little bit, and I just think that,
Yes.
like, it's almost astounding to the point that maybe it's because I haven't really sat down and thought about it, but it's
Yep.
almost astounding how many people I've met that, how do I say this? I'm I'm I- I'm starting to view, it's really bizarre. Over the last 4 months, I felt
Mm.
like I've made some really genuine friends
Yep.
that
Yep.
that I can trust. we're all new friends. So if you hit me up tomorrow for $10,000, I might be a bit suspicious. But you know what I mean, right? You know what I
Damn it.
mean? I've met some people that I want to trust and want to grow friendships with, and it's really astounding how fast I think that's happened. Even for just the two of us, if we're talking about this conversation right now, the amount of friends that we've met through each other, with you meeting Audax and Bizad and Kai through me, and me meeting Ezrin and Budsy and these other people that are really important to our whole community.
Absolutely.
And that we tend to get on. It's like it's almost easier than real life.
Why do you think that is? Because I agree.
Well, would you want the long-winded answer, or do you want the short-winded answer?
Hell yeah, I want the long-winded answer. We got to fill this time.
Yeah, that's true. I actually, and the truth of the matter is, I'll say this. The truth of the matter is, when you asked me to do this, I was probably more excited just to have the intellectual conversation.
Yep.
Because that's really what I want to do with people, and I feel like in these formats, it allows it without any awkwardness. But but to the point, why do I think that is? Well, because we've outsourced things like dating, things like socializing. We outsourced that to the internet, right? And it sucks because, especially for people like us, if we're going back to what we just spoke about, we were there for the birth of the internet. So we had friends and we used the internet with our real friends. Now it's, I don't know what your experience is like, but I've found it very hard in the last 5 years to make real friends. When I say real friends, I mean person, like
traditional face-to-face. Here's somebody in your locale. Yep.
And I'm not an antisocial person, and I'm not the kind of person who's hard to be friends with. It's just the opportunity is harder. It's
so much harder.
The opportunity is it's just not as much out there because of the internet. Here's a funny anecdote that can go with this. I was out. I think I told you this. I was out at my family's. Oh God, I'm gonna sound like a rich asshole here. I was at my family's
at the yacht club,
lake property.
Yeah.
But truthfully, it's this like, we don't have toilets. Okay, chill. But my cousin, she's my youngest cousin. She's 24 years old. But we've known each other our whole lives. Anyway, we were talking about this, and I was saying, it just feels so weird. Like, we're talking about dating.
Yeah.
I was saying, how do I go to a bar and approach a woman? And I don't want this to go to whatever conversation, but I just mean, how do I approach anybody, right? Because nowadays everybody's so skittish with their social. So
skittish. I've had this experience too, and it's not just like romantic stuff. Nope. So for me, I've had now I'm going to sound a bit weird. I've had a longish history of when I feel like doing something, i.e. socializing. And even when I was living in share houses with lots of social people, all that kind of life, if other people don't feel like it and I feel like it, I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself and I'll go out and make friends. Like, that's just kind of how I've operated. And
Me too.
Yeah, but that's become, I've noticed, and like part of it's probably me getting old. You sort of probably look a little creepier as you get older, but I don't think it's all that. Like, I'm not like 73.
I think people see this gray hair and they go like, fuck, man, you're like 46.
No, you just been through some shit.
I dated a girl in Montreal one time, and the gray hair just started, and I go, how old are you? And she goes, how old are you? And I was like, how old do you think I am? She goes, 42? And I was like, I'm 28. And I'm like, how old are you? She's like, 19.
Oh my God.
And you were going to date me? You were going to date a 42-year-old? Oh my God. But anyway, The funny thing is that my cousin said, I said, how are you supposed to approach a woman at a bar or anybody at a bar? Sorry, I keep saying woman, but because that was the nature of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
But um, she said, "You're not. That's what Tinder's for."
Yep. Yep.
And I was like, "Okay, like you're sold. You're sold on it, right? Like that's it."
Well, that's it. If you're born into that, if that's where you get your initial steps, then what anything else is weird. Like it's like,
Yep.
you know, I recall, I'm starting to say back in the days, I recall, I don't want to be that guy, but you know, there was a time not too long ago
We're
where
there, Porto.
it was weird if you met someone online was weird. Like, oh, you met them online.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
oh, like
yeah, yeah,
how do you
exactly.
trust them? And now that's just done, like it's just flipped around. It's like, oh, they walked up to you.
You
I don't know.
tell me about it. It's like my father still asks me to
Mm,
order things on Amazon for him.
mm,
Well,
mm.
how can I trust them with my credit card information? He says.
Yeah.
Right? It's like so. Yeah, no, we definitely came from that time. But the thing with technology is it moves so fast, and that sounds like a boomer thing to say, but it's the truth. We're in the middle of the information revolution, and that
Mm,
revolution is moving at hyper speed.
mm.
Um, in some ways, we're the only generation that actually gets to keep up with it because in some ways we're the historians
Right.
of it. Um, but the
Okay.
downside to it is because you are afforded the opportunity to understand where it came from, you're always going to bounce experiences off of where it came from. And
Yeah.
sometimes that gets us lost in semantics, and we're unable to sort of see the forest for the trees, I think. And that's what the younger generation is able to do because they just live in the forest, right?
Right. Right. Why would you try and look through it? It is
Well,
everything.
there's nothing to look through,
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
right?
Why try to look through air? I guess.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. So go on.
Sorry to interrupt. But you know, it is weird because then there is this thing where I do agree with what you're saying about Twitch, where the some of the connections I've built have, you know, there's varying degrees to them, but there's some where, you know, for the nature of the interaction, I wouldn't have believed it. Like I really didn't think 4 months ago going into it that I would feel a certain, like seeing someone, for example, seeing a streamer I like and just like hang out with them, I would feel like, oh, it's like it actually sort of does remind me sometimes of that feeling of like kicking back on someone's couch.
Yep.
And it's like,
Yep.
wow, that happened quick. That happened real quick for me.
That's really funny you say that because last
Mm.
night, I'm going to go off the rails for a second here, guys.
Please do. Please do.
I am very excited because I don't know if I showed you these. I think I did show you when you were in my stream when I was playing Kingdom Come. But when I was a kid, I thought, well, when weed gets legalized eventually, they're just going to
Mm.
sell it in stores like cigarettes.
Yep.
You buy a pack of joints,
Yeah.
It's not the case. It doesn't happen. You still buy your fucking eighth or your ounce or whatever. However, it just happened.
What? No. No, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Yes.
So
No.
I
Can you
bought
please
a
pull
liquor
one of these out? Oh my god. Oh my god.
like oh, I'm wrecking my focus here.
Even your
Jesus.
webcam's messed up by the idea.
Hold on. So while I fix this, I'll explain.
Yeah.
So the other night, I was Jesus. I don't know. This will fix itself. It always does. Sorry, viewers.
What
But
webcam
the
are you
other
using,
night,
by the way? Sorry to
it's
interrupt.
no, it's a Logitech HD. It's a 1080p Logitech. It cost me about $150, but it does this
Is it the silver
too.
one or the black one?
It's black.
Ah,
There we
okay.
go.
It's the better one that I have, but it still does the same thing. Good
I
to
mean,
know.
yours looks better than mine. I don't know if I'm streaming. I think I'm streaming it in 720. I've set it to stream in 720p to
Mm,
save um GPU.
okay. Sorry to
But
interrupt, by the way.
no, it's okay. Anyway, the other night I got the point of the story is I got these joints.
My god.
I was smoking these joints. I loved it, and I went to a mutual friend of ours, Audax Smoke.
Mm.
I went into his chat and I said, "Bruh, I need somebody's couch to crash on while I play Tekken and get high." because it felt like that, right? It sometimes it
Mm,
feels like I'm just going to my buddy's house and we're just gonna sit on the couch and play video games together.
yeah, yeah. No, that's
Um,
it, right? Like, and
it's very much the viewer's experience.
it is. But it seems to me that
I'm
in
gonna
order
smoke
to
this now.
blaze up, dude. Oh, by the way, how much does that set you back? Is that like a 6-pack? How do they sell them in eights? What is this?
It's a 10-pack, and it sets me back $18.
Jesus Christ, what am I doing in
It's not
Australia?
bad.
That's a great
I
deal.
know, right? And
Is it
it's
spun with tobacco?
nope.
Mm.
But it's got the entirety of the black is a filter.
Okay.
And it's a multi-layered filter, so it doesn't trap the resin, you know,
Mm.
like a styrofoam filter would do in a cigarette.
Yes.
But it cools it so it doesn't hit your throat as hard.
Mm. Dude, the future. That's wild.
Come
I
to
think it's
Canada.
like 10 years away from that shit being here.
I mean, you said that one time. Australia is 10 years behind progressive countries.
With some things, like for
Yeah.
being like it's a first world country, but we have our internets from 2003. Our we just got gay marriage like 3 years ago or something like that.
That's rough.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, you know what you should always take pride in? And I think everybody should take pride in this when they come from a country that isn't the United States.
Mm.
You're ahead of the United States. Look, no hate to American viewers, please. I love you. I love you to death. It's just your government that kills me.
You know though, like I also like have a tough time with that because it's also they put on because so much pop culture comes from that country. Like so much, I don't need to tell
Their
you.
biggest export.
And
America's biggest export is their culture, right?
Is their culture, film, movies, same thing,
Sports.
music, television, sports.
Look at your hat.
The sports. But I also think like their social criticism is exported. So like, like I remember when people started in Perth, like people who generally wouldn't at the time, this is like early 2000s, generally wouldn't take like a political stance on another nation. When the film Team America World Police came out, which is a great film.
Durka, Muhammad Jihad. Yeah.
And they would start being like, America trying to be the police of everyone. And so I feel a bit double about it because it's like, yes, that's a legitimate criticism of their country, but that criticism also comes to you via artists from that same country. Like there's sort of there's an export of even the criticism a little bit, I find. I'm not an expert on these things, but.
This is going to seem prepared, but trust me, it's not. John Locke, Second Treatise of Government.
Dude.
This document about John Locke explains Lockean liberalism and basically what America has been doing with nation building and what they're still doing and how they're ignoring social problems and perverting the world as the Holy Roman Empire did. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Before we get banned after one thing.
I love Americans. I really want everybody to know, like, I really got nothing against the people. Really, I don't.
Yeah.
It's a matter of ideology for me. And
it's my same thing with China. I have the same thing.
It's the same thing with China.
Love people from there. Love food from there. Love beautiful places there.
Love a lot of the
traditional stuff. Love a lot of the culture. Like they gave the world a lot, but there's certain things going on at the top level that kind of stink.
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh damn! Yes, Mr. Shi.
One of my good friends actually. His name, he goes by Moy. His name is Mao.
Interesting.
Yeah, straight out of China, and he said this is the best thing I've heard in the last 5 years. This is what he said. He said you guys have it backwards. In Canada, you guys can't criticize people, but you can criticize your government. In my country, I can call anybody anything I want.
That's true.
But I can't say anything bad about the government.
Yep, yep. Yeah, the level of freedom on the streets there was astounding to me. Like the level of day-to-day freedom. I'm like, hang on, I was kind of expecting some rigid system, you know, where like everything is intensely regimented and whatnot. And it was the opposite. It's just don't
Or a bit
talk.
of my lighting, if you don't mind. I'm sorry to interrupt. I think
No,
it's
that's
just
fine.
affecting the focus.
Totally fine. But like, yeah, just that street level, like it is very live and let live over there, which I loved.
Absolutely.
Loved it. You know?
Yeah.
Don't fuck with my shit, I won't fuck with yours, kind of thing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that I like, you know. I
Yep.
think the thing that pisses me off about our Westminster system and our Protestant sort of values that spread with the British Empire, of which we are descendants of subjects of. Um, it's so offensive to me. It's so offensive to me that I can't just go do. I can't just go sell beef jerky on the street if I'm making good beef
Right,
jerky.
right, 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 right. I see what you're
Right?
saying. The regulation, the
You
over
gotta apply
regulating.
for a license. You gotta pay this tax. You gotta pay this tax, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you gotta have a business. It's a gateway to help the people who already have.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Totally
and
agree.
and if there's anything that is truly socialist about the Chinese government, it's that.
Yep.
Because everything else is a sham.
Well, that's something like when I came back, you know, because whenever you live in any foreign nation, whenever you're a foreigner anywhere, as far as I can tell, you get fucked to some extent. Like there's just degrees of getting fucked. And so like
Yeah, yeah.
when I was on my work visa over there, sometimes I would just get fucked. Like my boss would call me and she'd be like, "You need to go to the PS bureau right now, otherwise you might get deported." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, something with some document and something. You could go down there right now." And I'd be in some frenzy, rushing down there to get there before it closes, like on something I've never heard about. And I'd go down there with these documents and try and communicate with these people. What's the problem? And they'd just be like, "No, you're fucked." I mean, not literally, but kind of literally, actually. Like, no, sorry, because fuck you, basically. And then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd be, oh shit, and I'd call my boss, and then she'd come down, and then she'd tell him off, and just do a bit of this, and then the problem's over. And it's like, oh. And so it's like, you're fucked over there because fuck you. But then when I came back, I noticed like, you still get fucked over here. But
You're
it's
just
like in the
systematically
name, it's
fucked.
in the name of your safety, and they dress it up. So not only do they fuck you, but then they lie to you about fucking you as well. And so they insult your intelligence on top of it. And that's when I started going,
And they create
yuck.
jobs to fuck you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The biggest thing, just sorry to sort of take over, but the biggest
Please,
thing
please.
that left me, because to your viewers, you spent time in China teaching English, right?
Yep, yep.
I spent time in Japan, doing a very similar thing, although a little less formal. The biggest thing that left me was that I left with was when I went to the fucking best ramen shops. I've never had ramen this good, and I
Mm,
never will again unless I go
mm,
back.
yep.
Um, that shit was filthy.
Yeah, you mean like the restaurant itself?
Now, I am a certified professional chef,
Mm,
and uh, only because of food regulations did I have my staff scrub the piss out of that for 3 hours after their shift was done at midnight, right?
mm,
These people are
mm.
tired as hell, but they make you do it. The bosses make you do it. You have to make this thing look brand new.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our food sucks because everybody's so tired and they don't want to work there.
Because they're just cleaners, basically. Yeah.
Well, you have no dignity in your job. You're not a cook. You're a slave. But if you go over to Japan, China, a lot of places that don't have the same bureaucracy for that, maybe I'm using that word wrong, but I think it's fine. But
That's fine.
um,
I know what you mean.
um, they're allowed to care about the food more.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think there's a certain level of just being able to focus on what you do.
Point of pride too, right?
Yep.
Um, we lose a lot of pride in the things that we do in the Western world.
Yes. So welcome to the criticism of the Western world, part one of a 37 part miniseries featuring two relatively unknown streamers. No, I love it, dude.
Yes. No, but you're right. We are veering down that path. But to bring it back to Discord, or to bring it back to Twitch, it's almost an interesting place that we get to just be ourselves.
Yep.
And let's relate it to what we were talking about with bureaucracy. Nobody gets to tell me what to do on Twitch, right?
I'm glad you brought this up, because I wanted to ask you, what actually prompted you to start? Was there a moment? Was it something that brewed in your head for a long time? Was it because of change of circumstances? What led you to begin?
So, I'm a performer. I'm a musician.
Yes.
And I spent 5-6 years in Montreal pursuing that, pursuing it hard. And I'm very proud to say that my guitar player Frank O'Sullivan doing it, and this guy is touring, and he has made it, and I'm proud to have been part of his journey.
Write that down.
Yeah, he's excellent. He's an amazing guitar player. Everything's just working out for him. The problem with that business is it doesn't work out for everybody, and it costs a lot of money to be part of it. So I took those experiences. I had to let's go the full story. I had to stop playing music because I got a job as an executive chef, and it took up 14 hours of my day. Oof. It was way too much, but I thought, this is how I'm going to make money for the rest of my life. This is it, right? This is what I'm going to do.
Yep.
And then I would go home at night, and my brother, Bizud, another streamer,
check out Bizud.
He had started streaming. And he was just streaming to 2 or 3 of us playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and it was just fun, right? And then all of a sudden, somebody showed up, and somebody else showed up. And one of them was part of the Marvel community, and the other one wanted to talk politics. And all of a sudden, we started to talk to them on Discord, and all of a sudden, they were joining us when my brother and I started playing fighting games or Apex Legends, whatever game we. And I started to realize that this is really a tool to communicate, and I can also maybe scratch my performer itch.
Yes. Yep.
Because that's something that I'm good at and that I want to do. So he was an inspiration to me. But when I got back, so I moved back from Montreal to where I live now, British Columbia. I came back here to go to school because I realized I'll be a chef for the rest of my life. That's garbage. Don't do it. It seems romantic. Don't do it.
I've heard it's a rough life.
It's a rough life. It's a rough life. But so I started going to school, and that means a drastic loss of income, but a drastic increase of spare time. Really, time. I've always loved to play video games. I've always loved to play Final Fantasy. That's basically how I started. Streamer, right, is doing the Final Fantasy grind. I did for those of you who don't know, I streamed all of the Final Fantasies that I played. It was 13 games. It took me 4 months. I'll never do it again. And
it was a great ride.
It was a great ride. But why I started is because I thought I had a battle with myself. I've always wanted to be genuine in everything I do. In fact, the biggest turnoff for me in anybody is disingenuousness. I don't know any other way to say it. When people are disingenuine, when you can tell what they say, what they're talking about, just it's words. It's not feelings, it's words.
Rhetoric, hollow rhetoric.
It's rhetoric, and it's just selling. It's selling a point.
Saw a lot of that in the workplace in the last 10 years.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that, and it's only becoming more popular. but this isn't a podcast about the Western world's problems.
It can be. It
Right?
can be. It's
It can
fine.
be,
I was
yeah.
just trying to
No,
bring it back to Twitch a little bit. We can go there.
I'm just joking. But what I do want to say is that I felt, and this is something I battled with my whole life, is if somebody else is doing it, I don't want to do it. If somebody else I know is doing it, I don't want to do it because it may seem like I'm copying them.
Ah.
So I'm concerned about,
Mm.
well, my brother had this idea and he's doing well at it.
Mm.
If I infringe on his territory and for some reason I happen to get bigger than he does, or I do it better than he does, then is that going to cause resentment? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I battled
It's
with
tricky.
that for a long time. I came across some money in the form of I came across some money and I was able to build myself a new PC.
Mm.
And I bought, and while I was buying it, I thought I could just toss on like $350 more and get some gear to stream with.
Yeah.
And I could just try this, like what's a webcam and a microphone? Like what is that? It's nothing. Let's just get it. And I play music too, so maybe I can. Worst case scenario. I started streaming. I played Dragon Quest 11, and
That was your first game?
yeah, which
No
I
shit.
will be playing. I'll be playing it again.
Fuck yeah. My first game was the original Dragon Quest, by the way.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, nice.
No shit. That's good. That's good. That's another one, another notch on our bedpost there. For how many times we fucked? I don't know.
Too many to count.
Absolutely. But I just kind of the only people that were showing up were the people that my brother was telling to come show up. He was being a good older brother, right?
He was like, throwing you a bone, basically.
Yeah. But it didn't feel right to me, and I stopped for about a month. And I just thought, this is just riding his coattails. I don't want any part of this. And then COVID hit.
Yes. Then COVID.
And I was in university. I am in university, but I was nearing the end of. It was the week before midterms. It was the biggest stressor. Nobody was sending me any information about when the midterms were going to be, how we were going to do them. Right? All of a sudden, everybody had to stay home. Well, everybody knows this is a global pandemic. Everybody knows what happened.
If you don't know, then wow, where are you living? What's that island? I want in.
I want in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I want in. If you don't know what happened, I want in. But I was. What you see here is where I've been for 6 months, and it's where I found myself. Right. So I found myself sitting in this chair. I'd pick up the guitar. I'd play that. Maybe I'd play a few games. I'd do whatever. But I was incredibly lonely. I had nothing to do. So I said, fuck it. Let's just start streaming and see who comes in. Yeah. All of a sudden, I was streaming a game called Ancestors Humankind.
Ancestors of Humankind. What's this game?
It's a fantastic game. So basically what you do, I'm going to go into this briefly and I'll come back, but basically what you do is you start out as a chimpanzee.
Oh, damn.
And you have little cues that are like your senses. So it'll say like, you can hear something over here, but it doesn't tell you. You can't like click on it and go to something. You kind of have to follow it and then it disappears. You have to use your senses to find something. And eventually, just through interacting with the world, through no game prompts, you learn things like how to swing from trees. So it's almost like this way of like you get to train how humanity.
What?
You get to build chimps into humans.
What?
Through the actions that you perform on the game. It's an amazing game, but it takes a hell of a computer to play it.
Damn. Okay, yeah, it's a PC buster.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. People have said that, but I ran it just fine on all. And my graphics card isn't that good. I have a 1660 Ti, which is budget good, right? But Kai showed up, and Ichikai is my mod now, and my friend. a good friend who I almost spent. I don't think I have spent a day in the last 3 weeks where I haven't talked to him.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and we play Apex Legends together. We just send memes to each other. Like we're like boyfriend and girlfriend sometimes, just
So
like
good.
constantly sending each other things, right?
So good.
But he just showed up one day and he just had the right sense of humor. He just like, I was like, how do I, but I want to make a spear, right? So I'm like this monkey, like picking up sticks and rocks. I'm like, I got to be able to make a spear somehow. And he just writes, do science. And I was just like, you can stay.
You're the mod now. You'll be the mod from
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
forever from here on
Well,
out.
he just kept showing up every time. He just kept showing up. And then he started to tell me, like, because he's quite good at like he writes all the commands for my
Oh,
Nightbot.
like the dad jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, some of them I let him have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love.
He's such a big part of the channel.
Yeah.
He's helped me so much that like sometimes I just kind of let him have some things.
He's synonymous with your channel. Like I mean, I'm to not
Yeah.
see Kai there is it just doesn't happen.
It's like Spudsy in your channel.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's just when you tune in, you're hanging with Porto and Spudsy.
It's great. It's great.
Which is
I
great.
didn't.
I love it.
I didn't realize the importance of the mod until I had one. And then it's like, oh wow, they're like, I'm sure it's different from channel to channel, but they are like an agent of you. They are sort of like they're part of the community, but they actually like do stuff for you to help the thing because they want to, which is crazy. Like
It's nuts. It's nuts because you feel like you're embarking on this thing for your own personal.
Yep.
And you're
It's
like,
awesome.
why do you want to like why do you want to come along? Like
Yeah.
what's in it for you almost? Which is such a toxic way of thinking, really.
It's a toxic way of thinking, but then you realize the fact is that the connection with other people, that's the thing that everyone's in it for, to a degree. You know, like the people come back not because like Final Fantasy 12 is a rad game, and
because
they're
they
playing
want to watch
something else.
you play it and talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And so as the channel progressed, Relvanth started following me. Spartan Killer. Spartan Killer, who's like the most ridiculous man I've ever met. I hope you watch this video because this guy has got Twitch like down pat. This guy knows how to be a Twitch chatter.
Yep.
He'll show up in my chat. He won't even say hi. He'll just say like, he'll say the worst dad joke you've ever heard.
Oh, I've been there when he's been on his like when he's been on fire. I've been there.
Yeah, and then
when he's just on a tear.
And then he just leaves and plays Dauntless for 30 minutes. And
Love
I'll
it,
just be like,
love it.
where the hell is Spartan Killer? He's like, and another one. Like, yeah, this guy just gets it, right?
That's so good.
He just gets how to be a good viewer. And then so he showed up, and then you showed up, and then I think I was playing Final Fantasy VI, and I rated Audax, and we just became fast friends.
He's good people too. I like Audax a lot.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting is it's like, well, I won't get too far ahead of myself here. Yeah, you start to meet really great people, and they come to your chat, you go to their chat, and it's almost like living in a neighborhood where you just kind of bang on somebody's door and go, "What's up?"
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
And
true,
it's
that's
that
true.
neighborhood you've always wanted to live in, where you get to just come over for 10 minutes. Can I have a glass of water? How you doing? How's the wife?
Got any sugar? What are you
See you
doing?
tomorrow.
Oh yeah, looks cool. Catch. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly, right?
You see that a lot. Like I see often, like people will just be like, "Oh, I just wanted to pop in and say hi. I got to go do something," and like that's nice. That's nice. It's like, oh, thanks. It's kind of dope.
And I always thought it's like, you know, like how much, I don't know, let's not talk dollar figures, but like just as a rhetorical question, like how much money have you made on Twitch? right? Like it's we're small streamers. It's nothing to write home about. It's not like we're taking over the world.
Not buying a house anytime soon.
I'm not buying a tank of gas anytime soon. I'm just kidding, but I could buy a tank. I could buy a tank of gas of whatever on Twitch.
You buy a 10-pack of that fucking hooch you got there.
Yeah. I drive a Honda Civic. I can definitely buy that tank of gas.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's what were we talking about? Sorry, I lost it on that.
I think you were talking about the idea of it being like a digital neighborhood in a way.
Yeah, it starts to, the value of it turns from maybe I can do something, and maybe if I work hard enough I'll make money off of this, and then I could take less time and do less work, whatever. The value of it turns from that, because I think that's what we all have when we have this idea in our head that, like, you know, yes, it only happens to 1 in 100,000 or whatever. And actually that number is growing smaller. Like, if you look at the internet over time, the amount of people that can make a certain living on the internet has grown.
Yes, because the dependence on it, I think the value of internet has grown with technology, I guess.
Exactly. So, but it's interesting to, you know, because that was my original sort of thought pattern, and then it's like, all of a sudden the value of doing this became socializing.
Yep.
Right? You know, don't get me wrong, I love it when people come, like, when I finished the Final Fantasy thing, all these viewers came in and they just started like throwing bits at me.
Yeah.
I swear to God, they threw about $70
glittering gold
at me.
And I was just
damn. I can't, like, I was just like, you have to stop. I was like, no, Brew, you can do this for free, Brew. You know, like, you know, like,
it's free, Brew.
It's free.
Oh, is there any way I can refund that, Brew?
Yeah, it's free as, you know. But you know, like, there's not, like, I love seeing that. Don't get me wrong. I love getting $70 like anybody else. Like,
yeah.
But this weird thing happened that I didn't think would happen, and that was, I'm gonna take money from these people that want to give me money for doing a service, and all of a sudden, holy shit, these people that kind of care about are giving me money because I'm also giving them money, and we're starting to do this thing. Like, we're all in this thing together.
In this thing together, man. Like,
and yeah,
it's
weird.
It's very weird, right? And so for me, you know, I came in, some of my story of why I came in similar to yours, actually. I mean, COVID's the catalyst for a lot of us, I think. Like, COVID was a catalyst for a lot of change. But as for me, like, I'd been working in this, my equivalent of, like, your chef drudgery was the ESL in a Western speaking country drudgery, which is like, just due to certain events in my life, I was back here for a while. I got caught up in what was a relatively good paying job for an ESL teacher. And the most quote unquote professional thing I'd ever done, to the point that I'd sort of deceived myself into thinking that I was like this kind of white collar guy. And I kind of had this, like, these delusions of, like, wow, I'm sort of like an adult in this society. And I've been I'm going to these meetings, and I have this sort of like, this faux luster, this facade of importance, you know, and,
you know, browsing briefcases on Amazon kind of thing.
Well, not that deep. Not that deep.
Just, you know, like the whole, like, I might wear a button-up shirt today.
Yes. That's it, right?
That.
Well, mine was like, I might wear a blazer today. Like, I might just do the, like, I might become like a fake kind of college professor kind of look, you know. Right. And I fell in love with that for a little while.
Starbucks do that, so don't worry.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry.
No, not at all, dude. But as time went on, I realized, Jesus Christ, this is a dead end job. What do I want? I want to become a manager of other teachers? don't give a damn
Mm.
about that. My passion's always been writing.
Simple.
I've always
Yeah.
wanted to have time to write. Like my time in China was an excuse for me to be in a new place, to learn another language, and live in a fairly cheap economy, or fairly easy to get by economy, where I would have time to write. And like, I saw myself getting further and further away from that. And I kept telling myself at this job, because this job it sort of had this structure where you could work 3-day weeks and you would get paid enough. You get paid enough on a 3-day week because the hourly rate was so good that it was like you worked a lowish end corporate full-time job. And it's like, that's the dream. I get 4 days to fucking work on my shit. And like, I have this, people think I'm respectable, but I'm actually just a bum. Like, it was great.
Was it almost like getting paid, like, how do I want to put this? Like getting paid for doing a full-time job at shit, like at fast food wage, but you only have to work 3 days a week? Because that is something that people go through and they get tempted by it as well, right?
Well, it was kind of like getting the hourly wage was sick. Like, you look at it and you go, oh my God, like that's incredible. Like, and
yeah, I mean, I used to get the equivalent of 36 Canadian dollars an hour in Japan.
Yeah, this was like gangbusters. This was like twice as much as I'd ever earned on any teaching job, and I've worked like 4 or 5. But then I was like, oh, hang on.
Yeah.
That's just for the teaching hours. They don't pay for the office hours. And there's all these things, the more you start looking at, like, oh, hang on, I only get 10-week contracts despite the fact I've been there for 2 years. Like, what now? And then as soon as things hit, they started going, yeah, sorry guys, like, despite the fact that you've had to really kiss ass and go to fucking all these meetings and PDs and present your findings and go from intermediate to advanced to diploma to bridging for university, back to advanced, back to intermediate, to 20 Ks away, back to here, to AM to PM. Like, you've been as flexible as possible, but sorry, we're not going to have time. We don't have any student numbers for you in the cohort for the next 10 weeks, but don't worry, they'll be back after 10 weeks. And just like realizing that I just worked in a car wash. It was just a high-paying car wash with
sounds like you don't mean
suits.
anything to them.
No, you don't. You're a number. You're a pawn.
Yeah.
And
which is the worst thing about the world today is that it's the the casualization of the workforce over here is there's no for a first world country, there's kind of shitty workers' rights, and for like professional jobs. Same here. I think that's kind of what's happening everywhere, right? And from what I've heard anyway. But I would say that actually I've heard that working conditions are better in Australia. You'll make more money working in Australia at a shitty job than you will in Canada.
Minimum wage is really good here. Like, it's very good.
Which is, what is it?
Shit, maybe it's like,
if you were to guess,
18, probably 19.
Yeah, ours is about 11.
Might be 20. Our dollar is worth less, I would say, though.
Not that bad compared to the Canadian one. Let me just see. I'm just gonna do a quick CAD to odd. No, $1 Canadian equals $1 and a nickel for Australian.
You know what though? I would be interested to see what the cost of living is. Like, how much you can buy with the dollar.
The question: what does the average rent cost? Would you say in not even necessarily Melbourne, but maybe like in a one size smaller city?
Australia is weird because we've got, it's a country of 25-ish million. That's at an estimate. Might be 26, might be 24. So it's like a little
32, so
yeah, it's like 85% the population of Canada or something like that.
Yeah.
Probably 85% the size as well, geographically.
Yeah.
But in terms of urban centers, we only really have like 5 million live in Sydney. 4.5 million live in Melbourne. So that's already like 40% of the country lives in those two cities.
So we have 32 million. 8 million live in Toronto. 7 million live in Montreal.
Wow. Montreal's that big.
Yeah, well, Montreal and surrounding area. Montreal
Yeah.
City itself is 3.5 million,
Okay.
but around that area is all that. And then British Columbia is about 5 million.
I've heard Vancouver is really fucking expensive. Like I've heard Vancouver is like
Well,
Sydney
that's the
level
question,
expensive.
because I have friends who work quote unquote real jobs in Vancouver, and
Yeah. They live. What was that? Sorry.
they live with 4 roommates.
That's the Melbourne life, dude. That's the Melbourne life.
Right, because the rent is about $3,200 a month.
It's crazy. I've heard London
Yeah.
is like that. Paris is like that. I'm sure New York's like that. In fact, my ex's brother worked for Google in New York, and so surely that pays pretty well. And
he lived in a closet.
his pad was it was in Manhattan, which is
Yeah.
apparently a good part of town, but like it was my room basically for him and his wife.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No,
Fuck
no, no,
that.
no. I mean, the interesting thing about Montreal was get into that because of French culture, right? Like they fight to make sure that the middle class is an actual middle class,
Yeah,
and they do a good job at it.
nice.
But because the upper middle class buys in, because the upper middle class there knows that having a strong lower middle class only strengthens their ability. If your worker has money, then they'll be happy, so they'll want to work for you. They get it over
That
there.
makes sense. That makes sense. Like,
Yeah, they get it over there.
Yeah.
But because the city was Montreal is very much small New York. It very much looks like small New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the same build. Well, they're very close to each other. It's the same old North America.
The old New World,
right? The old New World, right? It's all built there. So, very similar architecture. And so, the places that I lived in were very tiny. The only thing is, I would pay $320 for my own 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh,
I know.
that's fantastic. That's so good.
Everybody moved to Montreal until you develop a company.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you got all that money burning a hole in your pocket.
Man. Yeah, it's, like, I think going back, sort of related, but going back, once work dropped out for me here, like, so I pay basically, I live in a 2-bedroom place. It's like a smallish, semi-detached terrace house. It's a nice place, but small, and it's an icebox in winter. I pay like $1,100 or something like that.
Like, you can complain about heat. You can't complain about cold.
No, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. I know. Australia is not that cold. I know. However, the building quality here is not built for cold places. And Melbourne people, the housing quality here is built as if it's Sydney, and it's not Sydney. It's colder here. And so, like, it's when you're outside, it's not that bad, but people's houses are cold here because they just like.
I want to double down on that because I did live in Japan,
Mm.
and I lived in the south of Japan, right in Kyushu prefecture, I guess, where it's also mostly warm, right? You're getting close-ish to the equator at the bottom there.
Yeah.
And yeah, the winters, because like the buildings just didn't have the insulation. The wall was just cement. Whereas here, you don't build a house without 2 layers of thick pink foam insulation because it drops to -35 in the winter.
Yeah.
Right? So
Jesus
you don't want to. Well, it's actually not that bad because, well, like right? Well, it's
because people are prepared for it, so they build the house properly.
Exactly. Your houses are better built for heat down there. My dad lived in Adelaide, so I've heard about all of these things. He went to medical school in Adelaide. And he was saying, yeah, the houses there are built for heat. Like a lot of 1-story houses. Just this is meant because it gets to fucking +42.
Yes, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
But Melbourne's a weird city where, like, for Australian standards, it's pretty grim and grey. Like, it's kind of like for me, it kind of seems like somewhere from the UK plus 6 degrees Celsius. It's just like a UK plus UK plate, like like a kind of UK-ish weather.
Yeah.
If you just add 6 degrees to it all at all times, like it's it's not really sunny, beach land or anything like that. But they still build it as if it is. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, I just having this time paying all this money here, not getting the bucks, having time to like think about like how I was used like a pawn and shit like that. No, I'm not like pulling out the strings. Like it happens to like 99.5% of people on Earth, but just having actually, I guess, the benefit or the privilege to be able to think about it, because at least the government kind of helped us out. I just started thinking like, man, like maybe I'll just do my own thing. Like maybe like this is a chance to like try and get in on this internet thing. Like just try and make this shit happen. And like, I don't know, I actually kind of believe in it, like I think that it's a long road, but I think I think that's the way the world's going.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized I got a problem with authority. Like I just don't want people telling me what to do.
That's why I get along with you.
Yeah.
That's why we get along.
Yeah.
Fuck the man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck him. And I mean, I think that's also, like so what I mean when I say that's why we get along, it's probably also why, what do we bond over? We bond over, we like a lot of the same video games, and
Similar
we
games.
like to talk philosophy, and we have, I don't know, and I don't want to say this to say that we don't have similar views. I want this to sound like we haven't really fleshed out each other's views that much.
No.
But it sounds like we have a similar way of thinking about our views. Whether our views are polar opposites, I don't know really yet. I just know that you approach your views the same way I do.
I also know that it wouldn't matter if they were. Tell me about Japan, dude. What was Japan like?
I moved to Japan when I was 22. I was 22 and okay, so in
That's
high
young.
school I had this.
It's young for an international move. Damn, nice.
It is. So when I was in high school, I fell head over heels for this girl. And she was she wasn't a 10 out of 10 knockout model, but she's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people who may have looked at her and just brushed her off as a normal person. For me, it was like, you're the one.
That's it, yeah.
And we fell deeply in love. Deeply. We dated on and off because it was tumultuous, as teenage relationships are.
Yeah.
But I have no problem in putting out to the world that I would say our relationship went on for about 8 years, really.
Wow.
And it meant a lot to me. And in our last bout of being together, and when we wanted to really be together and start, she had been to Japan on an exchange. So I was about 2 years out of high school, and she's 2 years younger than me, so she was in her last year. And I was working construction. And we were just hanging out and, hanging out. And she had said, like, I really want to go back to Japan, and I want to do something there. I want to live life there. Yeah. Do you want to come with me and do that?
Fuck yeah.
And I had to think about it a lot. I had to think about it a lot because it's like, well, how do we go establish ourselves? I mean, I'm working construction. I'm not doing anything special, but I have a family, and I have a lot of things here, right? So she had a YouTube channel.
Oh,
and
shit.
She started her YouTube channel in 2008.
Wow, she got on the ground floor right there.
This girl, like we're broken up. We're still on good terms. We don't really talk that much anymore because That's what happens in relationships. But I have nothing but good things to say about her. She's an amazing person, and she catches everything so quickly. Let me tell you, just as an anecdote, one day back in, I want to say 2008, 2007, she goes, 2008. This Facebook thing's getting kind of lame. I've heard a new thing. You should sign up. It's like this way. You just type in, like, it's basically just Facebook statuses. It's 144 characters, and that's all you can type.
Oh, shit. She called it early.
My Twitter account, my original Twitter account, which I don't have one, I hate it, was Twitter account 2,900.
Wow.
And so
no shit. So on her recommendation,
I made this Twitter account, and I had no idea what to do with it. It didn't make sense to me. Right? So that's it. I used it. I typed her a few things. I added, and that was it.
There's some rare tweets right there. The like 2008 tweet.
Yeah, and it sounds like a fairy tale, but I promise you, I wouldn't lie to you. But it's just to say how on it she is, right?
Yeah.
She reads it really well. So her YouTube channel, and I won't mention her name because she's asked me, like, we've asked each other to stay out of each other's lives in that, because it just
overcomplicates shit.
It finds its way back to each other. We don't need that. We respect each other too much for that. But she has a YouTube channel with 500,000. She's got this thing going. She knows how to do it. And so we were over there, and she was doing this thing, and that was kind of paying our livelihood.
Yeah.
But Japan. How was Japan? It was, geez. I'll say every white person should go to.
Sorry, you died. Your mic died there for a moment.
Every white person should go to another country.
Yes. Yes.
Like, it's where I first experienced prejudice. It's where
I know. Racism. Shit.
I mean, I'm sure.
I bet the Japanese variety is different to the variety I got. I think it would be harder to spot, or like quieter.
Well, the Japanese have that like slight American influence of like that Protestant. We won't say it to your face. Kind of.
But as soon as you're gone, motherfucker.
Well, one of the biggest things that made me realize that is one day I was waiting at the girlfriend. She was in school, so she was enrolled in school there when she was coming home, and I was just on the bench, and an old lady beside me started having a stroke.
Oh, damn.
And my first instinct is I went, because she started to fall back, so I went to grab her, right? I didn't want her to crack her head on the cement.
Yeah.
2 guys came up to me and said, get your hands off her.
Oh, shit.
Right? And I was just like, I'm just
because like you're like some weird white guy, like foreigner or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just trying to help, It's just a human, like.
That's crazy.
And maybe they're based in that belief, right? Maybe they have enough experience to be like, fuck you, get off our people. I don't know.
It's hard to know if it's based in how much reality and how much bullshit that stuff's based in, Like I would see that in China, like where every day I'd have people like just laughing. It was just funny. It was just an event because there's no filter there, And like in the apartment building I lived in this place called Chuan Yingguo, which translates to Creative England. I don't know. That was the name of my apartment complex. It wasn't just. It was mostly Chinese people, but it was just called Creative England. And every day I lived there for 3 years in this apartment block. Every fucking day, I'd walk outside and someone would be like, why? Which means, old foreign, which is like a pseudo derogatory term. Like pseudo. Right. It's not like, but then again, I don't know, how do you know? Sort of how people say it. And like most of the time, after a while, you just don't really care. You're like, okay, sure, that's just what happens. But the thing that like got me is like, really, like you haven't seen me in the last 3 years. Like I've been living here. Like I'm here all the fucking time, and it's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy being an other.
You want to talk about the yeah, well, man, you just
crazy being another.
Being another. Being another.
That's something that being a philosophy major, I the other is something that fascinates me. And I think you perfectly described it there when you were talking about your experience with prejudice. That is, I'm a white dude, so what do I know? But what I will say is my best guess for how people feel in my country and the country directly below me is that's pretty much their experience, right?
Yep.
Fuck, I don't care if you call me that, but like really, like I'm just trying to go to my 7-Eleven job like you are.
Just wanna pick up some toilet paper, dude. Just wanna get some juice, like just,
Are you smoking weed? Yeah, man, I just want to get high. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's the same. We're all just humans. So, I think that is what you describe in so far as your experience in China is, I think, actually, dare I say, a very good depiction of what people feel when they're.
I think so. I think it really I think it is a different experience from place to place, though, because again, my thing in Taiwan was different. Like Taiwan, more Western, just in terms of culturally has been, and it's also more Japanese, weirdly, because they had the Japanese occupation for a while there. They've been, just because of their location, they've been fucking shuffled around. And I mean, honestly, they weren't even Chinese originally. There's like natives there that kind of got squashed. But anyway, I don't know enough about that to really talk much about it. But like, it was different there, despite being as much of an other. It's sort of more of a cool, indifferent acceptance. I kind of felt there, and sometimes an interest, but like mostly like a cool, whatever. Just like kind of felt like what I imagine being in a fairly liberal, open-minded place is, where you just like, it's just this kind of like, whatever. But like the one, what actually grossed me out the most in China was not so much, I have to be in a bad mood to be annoyed at people for perceiving me that way, because it's like, how can you not? Like, if you're raised in a place where all you see are people like you, how can you not be somehow like taken aback? Like, especially in places being closed off for so long. And so I was really annoyed at them. I was sometimes annoyed at like the way it changed the Westerner over there. Like, so because there was this, like, where I was, so I was in Kunming, which is in the southwest, and it doesn't have the international population of a Beijing or a Shanghai or a Guangzhou or a Hong Kong. Like,
it's much more like based.
It's
in
pretty.
This is China.
It's pretty fucking, and it's even like southwestern China, so it's actually like removed from the power and stuff. It's quite a poor.
Yeah, we're
province.
talking like. This is I don't want to divert this topic very much, but I'm just curious. Like, they were talking about in the southwest of China, the population starts to thin out, does it not? From like the eastern seaboard.
I'm a WA boy, so anything that isn't like one person per 10 kilometers seems thick to me. But like, no, I think so. I think so. Like in Central Asian terms, yes. Like, so like,
but it's closer to Tibet than it is to Japan.
Beijing. Yes.
Right.
It's closer to Tibet. It's closer to Thailand. It's closer to Vietnam. It's closer. I don't know. Don't quote me this. It might be as close to India as it is to Beijing, kind of thing.
Right. Right. So yeah, no, I've heard that like, the farther west you get in China, and this is from my friend
Mm,
Mao,
mm.
the more Chinese you get. So that's just to bolster your point. I believe you, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't. I mean, clearly Mao's from the Western if he's saying that, but
No, he's actually from the
he-
north.
oh really? Oh, he's from like
But
up in Harbin kind of region, maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm not gonna sell him out because you never know who's listening. So
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Um,
yeah,
but like, but so just the reason I brought that up is because it's like a city of like 5 million kind of thing. So it's a small Chinese provincial capital. It's like a small provincial capital.
crazy, eh?
It felt insane to me still.
5 million is small.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
That's bananas. But
Yeah,
that's because we come from countries of 30 million ish.
absolutely. And so it's not a huge destination for the expat, although some are there. But so it's always an event. It's always an event, especially for someone who is not only. I would say it's always an event for people who look the most foreign. So really white people and really black people are the most noticeable compared to like the standard there. And so like
Right.
I saw it from the
Right.
perspective of both. And the thing that kind of like grossed me out a little bit is like there's this association, and it's kind of an outdated association because we know there's a lot of poor white people out there just because there's a lot of poor
Oh, yeah.
everyone out there.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a whole other issue. But yeah.
whole other thing, but there's this romanticized view of these like handsome white businessmen that are like,
Yeah.
they've got money and they're men of the world and da da da, and so you sometimes
Cosmopolitan man.
exactly you get that people get that conception, that perception of them, especially the men, and they get that perception
of white people.
yes, yes. And I saw some people start to believe it about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they get this fucking big head and they start thinking that they're the shit. It's like, dude, like, it's all good. Like, I'm sure you're not a bad person, but like, and then you start to see where some of the hatred comes from, where people see these arrogant white dudes going around. It's like, well, fuck. It's based off a belief that they might not have started individually, but they bought into, and it's kind of gross. And like, some people loved being like a D-grade celebrity. Like they loved the idea of being like a D-grade celebrity, and I found it gross. Like I just wanted to like blend in.
Yeah. I just want to live. I want my meat bun, and I want to go home with my piss Xingdao, and that's it.
Yeah, not that I was complaining because I chose to go there, but like if I had a choice, I would rather not have been noticed.
No, I get you. I feel you. And that it may have been better in Beijing, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I met people in Japan that were very much like that. The people that went there, like their reason for going there was like bang hot Japanese girls.
Yeah, the classic. Oh god.
And I was like, but don't you want to like try raw horse? Like that's what I want to do.
Have you eaten horse?
Like, I have eaten raw horse. Yes.
Dude, I've eaten cooked horse.
And
I got it cooked. I just felt like
and?
I just felt like I was, I don't know, like I was eating like a storybook character or something like that. I kind of just like, it tasted all right, but it was like loaded with emotion, you know?
You're eating pebbles. What would Henry think? You're eating pebbles. Kingdom Come reference there for everybody.
No, I'm with you. But how was the raw version? How was raw pebbles?
Horrible. And that's the interesting thing is like, I don't know if I've told you this, but like, I am allergic to everything.
Nuts. I know that. That's why you can't eat Thai food.
Peanuts.
Sorry, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry.
I'm allergic to a bit of like soy doesn't really do well with me.
Ooh.
I can do it. I'm not going to go into anaphylaxis with soy, but like I have a lot of different food allergies. Like leafy greens give me kidney stones. Like I am happy to be me, but I am a defect. I have no problem admitting that I am a defective human.
Still alive, dude. Still alive.
Hey, yeah, but I'm a good dude. I'm a good dude, so I don't care. But I remember I have a vivid memory of being a child and my dad taking me to my cousin's ranch,
Mm,
where they had horses, and I'd
mm.
pet the horses, and because I love animals. I'm allergic to dogs, cats, but it doesn't
Oh my
bother me.
god.
Like I'll pop like 2 Benadryls and fall asleep in an hour just so that I can like snuggle with a dog. Like if you got a dog, I don't give a shit about you, man. I'm going to that corner, and me and that dog are falling in love.
Yeah, buddy
Uh,
time. Love it.
yeah. So I did the same with the horses, right? I just pet them. My eyes closed up and were swollen out. And it was so
I'm sorry, I
painful. I
shouldn't
could
laugh.
see my dad
Jesus.
had to grab me by the hand and walk me home. We were out at our cabin, so he had to walk me home down the road because I couldn't see.
Damn, that's fucked up.
So, these friends of my girlfriend, because she had been there on exchange, right? In Japan. So she had friends. So they said, we have to try raw horse. This is a delicacy. Okay, well, and then I
Gotta
started
do it.
telling this story. I eat the raw horse, and my throat starts to itch.
Oh no, dude, no.
And I'm in Japan, and I'm 22. So do I have an EpiPen? No. Do I have Benadryl? No. Do I even have Claritin? No, I don't. My throat starts to itch. But
Thank God.
to make a sick rhyme, I don't want to be a bitch. So I eat another
Zing.
one.
Oh damn. No,
And
no.
and thankfully, one of the things that brought me and this girl together is that she's asthmatic and has all the allergies I have.
Mm.
So I whisper over to her, I'm like, my throat's itchy. And she's just like, okay. I think there's a pharmacy down the road. Whatever. So how do I remember that horse meat? Would do it again.
Sounds like a shocking time.
It wasn't even that good. It wasn't even that
Yeah.
good. Like man,
Yeah.
if I don't know, I've been to Japan and had the best sushi you can get.
Mm.
Still get salmon and tuna.
Mm. Yep.
I'd say that much.
Delicacies I think often delicacies are as much about like the narrative and saying you did it as having it, like or as the actual value of the thing itself.
Sure.
I know they had in the city I was in, they had a thing called guo chao mishan, which is like across the bridge noodles. And so it's like this noodle soup, and there's this like long legend about it. I don't know if it's long. There's this old sort of fable or legend about it where this wife's husband is doing some project. He's like doing some building thing, and she had to carry it to him across the bridge, and it was freezing, and so she had to cover it in oil or something. There's like a fable that goes with it, but it's basically a big bowl, rice noodles, various, like there's an egg that goes in there. There's you get all these things on the side. Get some greens. You get some like pickles, like some pao cai. You get some various meats, some sausages, and all this kind of business. And you just throw it in there,
Yep.
and like people were all about it there because it's the thing, and it was all right. But I would often, like, after like a year or so there, like I loved the food where I was, don't get me wrong. But that particular dish, like it was all right. But I would, if there was no one there that I felt like I was upsetting, I would often just get this other noodle they had there that like had no legend and no fable that just I liked more. Like that's a perfect transition, Mr. Cranberry Pudding, the smiling
Might be.
berry. That's a perfect
I'm not
transition
sure-
into
I'm
our
not
next
sure
point.
whether I'm very good at transitions because God, my OBS would tell you differently.
Oh lordy, I actually, I like your going to Taco Bell one, and also your like
I like
Pingu
that one too.
taking a piss.
Yeah, and
That actually feels like
that's
some of my
actually-
pisses when I'm streaming.
That's actually how I piss on the toilet after I've had a few too many beers. Thank God I own my own place. I
Mm.
own my own place and I live alone so that
Mm.
A, I'm not doing damage to a landlord by pissing on the linoleum, and B, there's nobody to step in it.
Nice, nice. I like it. Um, that actually reminds me of something else. Like, and I've had this conversation, or at least been privy to this conversation with a few different streamers about a few different streamers. One of which is you, and that is smoking weed while streaming. All right,
And
so
drinking beer.
and drinking beer. So for me, I like. For me, I have a thing where like I treat my final stream of the week, like the second half, I'd start getting on the terps, and
Right.
but that's kind of like a nice wrap up thing, and I try to structure it just as my kind of thing. But like beer, booze is easy for me because it acts in that very social lubricant kind of function for me. But if I try to
We've talked
imagine
about this.
myself as a
We've had a
stoner,
boozy. We've had a boozy life.
we have years
Yep.
and years and years.
Yep. So,
Not just me, but my ancestors as well.
I want to say that I'm on my 7th beer right now,
Oh
so
my
it's like,
god, I should have bought
and I'm
more,
fine.
dude.
I'm fine, you know.
Yeah, I should have bought more.
Yeah.
But the weed thing, and I do like to partake. I do generally have at least a little nugget somewhere for like certain downtime moments from like, oh, I could really just put one in the pipe right now. But like, man, dude, come on, technology, let me pull that out of there. Come on now.
No kidding, right?
But like, what I want to know is was that as seamless as your other transitions? Like, is that something you did early on in your stream? Do you remember the first time you tried doing it? Were you just baked the first time you did it, or like, how did you integrate that? Was it even a conscious decision?
Well, so okay, let me just make sure that I understand the question that you're asking. And so
There was
tell
about
me,
7.
feel free to tell me yes or no on what
Yes.
if are you asking, did I consciously decide to get high on stream?
Yes, that's one question.
Okay. I think that at some point, this is an interesting question, right? Because and I'm sure we'll get to this. But I think the question that you're really asking, or at least the question that is insinuated by what you're asking, to me is um, are you okay with being that you on camera?
Well,
Is that the question?
it's no. Let me rephrase. It's not so
Sure.
much. It's not so much. Are you okay with it? More. I guess I can only say. I can only share my experiences. Like when I get stoned, I become.
Cough. This is powerful weed. Sorry, I can still hear you.
Nice. This is a perfect backdrop for me talking about this. When I get stoned, I tend to get very introspective, very overthinky, not that communicative. So like when I was younger, I used to, like everyone, a lot of other people would smoke in circles, hang out and chat. But then as I got older, it became more of an isolating experience for me. And I found myself less socially adept when I'm stoned. I'd like withdraw within. So I guess my question is like, do you feel differently? Like, do you feel as able to communicate when you're baked?
Well, I have a prepared answer for that, and not because you've prompted me for it, but because it's something that's been so pertinent in my life recently. When I was younger, so I want to say from 15 to 22, I smoked all the ganja, and we called it ganja back then. And I went to Japan, and obviously you got to stop. You're not smoking weed in Asia.
It's like super illegal there, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody, I remember I I got a story for you later. I got a story. I have a story for this video that's gonna blow your guys' fucking socks off
Oh my god! All
about
right.
the Yakuza, me, and Japan.
Jesus
But
Christ.
the short part of it right now is that I found out that to buy an eighth 3.5 grams of pot in Japan
Mm.
was 500 Canadian dollars.
Oh. Oh.
So I was like, okay, that must be something I should stay the fuck.
Time to
Anyway,
get on the Suntories.
I I stopped smoking pot for a year, and then I came back home, and I lived with my parents, and because I'd been off it for a year, it wasn't something I sought out, you know, and just kind of naturally stopped doing it. Well, then I moved to Montreal, and I was by myself, wasn't with a girl. I was living in a studio apartment full of cockroaches on an air mattress, right? Like there's no more pure form of oneself than I live. All my furniture consists of an air mattress.
That's it.
And I bought some weed off of a guy off the street my first night in Montreal. Because I was like, oh man, how am I going to sleep? You know, like, fuck. I smoked it, and the worst paranoia I've ever had.
That's what
The
I was gonna
most
say, because that would make
Yeah.
me just be thinking about the cockroaches and shit.
Yep. The most existential, like you're a failure. You've come over here because you're trying to prove yourself of not being a failure. But if you have to do that, it's because you're a failure. No one
Right.
likes you. Your relationship didn't like I thought everything, like
Oh
every
man.
mistake that I'd possibly made
Yeah.
came into my head at that time. And that freaked me out about weed.
Yeah.
It only and then so unfortunately, what took the place of pot for 8 years was alcohol and cocaine. And I wasn't
Wow.
a huge cokehead. Like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't the guy that was buying. I probably did coke once every 2 months. But
Yep.
the point is that I was the kind of guy who sought out those stimulants
Yep.
to get me away from that bad feeling. Right? So maybe there
Right.
were times where I
Right.
did coke every week for 5 weeks, but it wasn't a regular thing, is what I'm trying to say. But I replaced the pot with that. Um, as I progressed, the coke habit died off because I never really was into it. Right? It was just something, especially as a musician. Well, you're out till 3 in the morning. You're tired as
You
all
can
hell.
drink
You
more as
work
well.
exactly.
You can
So
drink a
so
lot
you
longer.
play. The bar says we'll pay the entire band $500. There's 4 of us, so we split that 4 ways. But you have to play for 4 hours, starting at 11. Right? So you're done at 3. You just worked 10 hours, right? And okay, somebody's got 2 bags of blow, right? Okay, that'll pick me up for the second set. And they're feeding us free booze all night, so
You gonna not
and
snort
then
it?
let me tell you, man, we used to play. I played in a free jazz group, which I grew up playing punk music. So when I moved to Montreal, I was a
Wow,
guitar player.
it's quite a leap.
Huge jump. When I moved to Montreal as a guitar player, I thought, I think maybe what I'll do is folk music because I think that that's maybe the easiest way to do these things. Well, my first roommate was Frank O'Sullivan, who I told you about before, who was my bandmate, who is maybe the most amazing jazz guitar player I've ever met, and he taught me everything about jazz. And we played it, and some of those songs. There's a great song called Haitian Fighting Song. I
Haitian
can't remember
fighting
who it.
song.
Haitian Fighting Song. I can't
Dude,
remember who
I'm writing
who
that
it's
down.
by, but it has this bass line that goes ba-da da ba-da da ba-da da ba-da da ba-da da ba-da da 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 da, and it repeats for 4 minutes. And the problem with that is that to hit that higher note, your pinky has to just stretch a little bit too far on the bass. And I was a guitar player. So if I wanted to play music in Montreal, I had to play bass because everyone was a guitar player, right? And so it wasn't a very comfortable song for me to play. Um, Also, the timing had to be so perfect. We would play these songs. It's like, okay, second set we're playing that. It's like, okay, I need a bump up. I gotta get up.
Got to get a bit more energy up in here. Yeah.
Exactly. I gotta be able to focus on this. Anyway, where I'm going with this is that those developed into bad habits that ended up in me realizing that I had a mental disorder and that I was bipolar, and that what I was really trying to do was medicate the fact that my brain did not know how to regulate serotonin and dopamine levels. Right? It was
Wow.
providing me with serotonin and dopamine at the wrong times for the wrong things. Whereas most people will become satisfied when they eat. I do not. I either have to eat more or I have to eat nothing at all because the brain is sending mixed signals.
Wow.
So drugs became a thing that were like, okay, well, if I do this, alcohol, cocaine, then whatever. But pot always made me so messed up. And everybody would tell me like, oh, you should just smoke weed, man. It'll calm you down.
That's what everyone says, but it doesn't. It's not always the truth, right? Like, not for
It's not
everyone.
always the truth.
Yeah.
I came back to Kamloops, British Columbia, where I'm from, where my family's from, and I had a conversation with my dad. My father is a physician, retired physician,
Mm, 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 mm,
um, a very conservative man, but a
mm.
good man. He's a very good man. Um, he doesn't necessarily believe in everything, but that's fine. That's his prerogative, right? Um, but I told him what I was feeling, and he said, "I don't know much about it. It's a bit old school, but I think you should talk to your doctor about um, schizophrenia and bipolar because that runs in our family."
Right. Okay. So it's a genetic thing as well.
So I talked to my doctor about it, and he put me on some medication that was pretty much the worst experience of my life for a year. I fell asleep, I gained 40 pounds, and I had no appetite.
Dude, that sounds like the shit my brother got on. My brother was on some shit about a year ago that fucked him up. That was
Yep.
medicated as well, and like they had to kick it because it just shut him
Rough.
down as a human being. It was like yeah, it was crazy.
Well,
Yeah, sorry
lucky
for
for
interrupting.
me, I have part of my philosophy in life, and we could talk about this later because I do study philosophy. Part of
Mm,
my philosophy is that I trust the experts. I trust my doctor to know
mm,
that what he's doing, that he studied this for 8 years, and that he's trying his best.
mm,
Um, because what if he doesn't? Then I'll sue his fucking ass.
mm.
But uh, lo and behold, a year later, I feel great.
Yeah.
I don't go through those dark times as much. I mean, it's still there. You're never cured of your mental ailments, but I feel better and more normal. So as soon as I started feeling that, I thought maybe I can try smoking weed again because I used to love that,
Ah,
right?
yes.
I'm about ready to smoke another one, let me tell you that.
Nice, nice. Fuck yeah.
So yeah, that's my experience with that. Is just
Mm,
I think what it really comes down to is confronting your demons because
yeah.
uh there was a book, the Jimi Hendrix biography. When he talked about doing acid or anything psychoactive, he spoke about set and setting.
Mm,
What is your mindset and what setting are you in,
mm, mm.
right? That's going to determine your quote unquote high,
Yep, yep.
right?
I recently had well, it wasn't that recently actually. It was sort of like January when people were still allowed around town.
Yep.
I had a LSD experience with a friend, and it was their first
Oh,
time doing
really?
it. Yeah, it was their first time, and they wanted to do it with someone that they trusted, and so they
Yep.
asked if I would do it with them. I'd said to myself that I might not do it again. Like I've done it quite a bit, and but like if it's with a friend and they really want it to happen, then I said okay.
You know what? As somebody who's done LSD, it's almost your duty. It's almost your duty to,
Yeah.
if somebody wants to do it again, it's almost your duty to help them through it.
I think if you're very close friends, then I agree.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
someone who's like heard you've done a bunch of like, but yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
friends, I agree.
Yeah.
And so we did that in the botanical gardens, and it was a beautiful setting.
Do it again.
Blaze that shit. It was a beautiful setting,
You told me
but
about this.
and I'm able to like not have I haven't had a bad trip experience since I did LSD with my friend the day that there were these fires in Melbourne. These so like we went to a park and it was really fun. We had there's this weird profound moment with a duck where like it like slowly went past us on the river, and like just as it passed us it just went whack, and like fucking like we were in hysterics for like an hour about that. It was just like this perfect moment where it just waited. The timing, the comedic timing was just,
Yeah.
and it
It's like
just
a duck
meant
saying, "Sup?"
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It meant so much more
Yeah.
than it meant, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was really good until it got dark and we went back to the home that we're at, and we were the only people that had done it. We'd done it together, but there were other people in the share house who hadn't. And there was just this feeling of being in a home, and there was this news about the fires on, and I just started feeling claustrophobic and gross, and I was like, oh, I need to get away from you people. And I remember going out to the back, this back area we had. It's this old kind of like Greek 60s home that we were renting out in the suburbs, and so it was like this tiled back dining area with this weird, like almost like floorboards, but that was the ceiling. You know, like these wooden panels along the ceiling. And I remember putting on a Lou Reed record and like lying on the floor and just like looking at the ceiling and like just seeing like,
it's such a perfect day,
and just weeping, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
good weeping, and so that was like the last time I had like a kind of not great trip. But like even this last one, the setting was good. The person I was with, wonderful lady. And for her, she, still tells me to this day that she's really glad we did it.
Yeah.
But I just
good friend.
was confronted by shit that I don't think I'll ever get over. Like there's just some shit that I'm just like, I don't think I'm capable of getting over. My aversion to people walking within 1 meter of me for no reason. It just like, there was this sort of, have you seen the film Mother?
No.
Oh man. Have you heard of this film?
It's ringing a bell because I think we may have talked about it before.
Man, yeah. Anyway, like it's this nightmare. It's this sort of nightmare scene of just more people arriving. There's this woman who wants to sort of have it lay a nest down or whatever.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah. And
Javier Bardem.
Yeah. It's fucking terrifying.
Okay. Oh, a psychological horror film.
Yeah.
Darren Aronofsky. Oh, I'd be into that.
Yeah. So
he did The Pianist, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's a great film. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but it's a great film. But like that's like kind of like it's like a more exaggerated feeling of what I just get, what I've gotten like the last dozen times. Well, not even dozen. The last half dozen times I've done LSD. I don't want to give you the impression I'm doing it all the time. It's probably like once or twice a year, and I just
know
don't.
What you mean. I mean, I think it's a normal thing, by the way. That's what people mean by experimenting with drugs. It's
It's not to party. It's just like once in a while you're like, oh, I think I'm ready for that again.
Yeah, and also a lot of people have this mentality like they do acid. They must do acid at 6 in the morning and 8 at night. No. I'm just not afraid to do acid. That's all.
Well, I think for me, it's the idea that like it's just another experience. It's just it's a challenging. It's kind of a challenge. I sort of view it as, but like I've sort of been confronted with my own walls that I like don't like losing control and shit like that. And I don't know if I need to take any more acid to know any more about that, personally.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's a dangerous thing. The psychology of knowing oneself is a strange thing, and what drugs do to your awareness of that is terrifying.
It's a control thing for me. Like I don't like losing control. Like I'm not a control freak over other people, but I'm a control freak over my own perception, like over my own faculties, you know? And so hallucinogens tend to dissolve that control a little bit. And so then I guess they're greater learning experiences. You can maybe gain more from them, but they just feel like that expression, a trip. It is a fucking trip. Like I feel
Yeah.
exhausted by the end of one of those things, you know?
Oh yeah, but I mean, it takes a lot out of you, right? It
Yeah.
like these drugs are I mean, what they do, why they give you pleasure is because they extend certain parts of what your body already does
Mm,
to the point where it's not natural. The plant is natural, your body is natural, but the interaction isn't necessarily natural.
yeah.
So, like, yes, a little bit of psilocybin, a little bit of THC, just like a little bit of fried chicken, is fine for your body, right?
Uh,
But when you overload those things, and I've learned about that since being diagnosed with bipolar type 2, is, you know, your body only has so much dopamine to throw out there. So if you take something, and serotonin too, right? So if you, and melatonin, right? So if you just throw this thing at your body that makes it pump it out, your body doesn't know what to do the next day. You are drained. Part of energy is serotonin and dopamine. So your motivation to go to work out, go for a run, go on Twitch, stream,
yeah.
that's more governed by your serotonin and dopamine than it is by your tiredness.
And this shit always feels like it's like living on credit. I always viewed like, especially big time party stuff, like as a teenager in my early 20s, like it is just borrowing extra resources from the future, or like stealing them
Yeah.
from the future, and then you just don't fucking have them until they like grow back or until they're produced again naturally.
And that's been my thing all the time. I always tell people drinking is borrowing time from tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a cranberry pudding saying. Anybody
Love it.
who knows me personally will tell you that.
That cranberry law. But
Like you ready to go? You ready to go borrow some time for tomorrow? Like literally, that's the way I tell people I want to go to the bar.
hell yeah. But you
Yeah.
know, I actually do. I think knowing myself, I will always like a drink. Like it's changed. It's changed. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
No, I love it. I love getting fucked up too. To this
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. It's a thing you can do in life, and for me, it's like I now know most of the common experiences you can have. Like there's a couple, but I know most of them, and I know like generally how I operate under them. And I've been able to like separate okay, don't need that again. Don't ever want to see that. Fuck no with that one. Like, God, I don't even know what that was, but no, thank you. Into these sort of few. And now it's just kind of about like using my time wisely. Like, I don't mind. I can deal with recovering from something. I can deal with having to like get my body back after, treating it shit, like treating it good to kind of get it back to normal. But it's the time you lose. Like time feels so important to me these days,
But does it feel important to you because you feel like you owe yourself to do good with that time?
I have a lot of interests. There's a lot of things I still want to do and achieve in my life, and I think first and foremost is writing, and
Yep.
but I've sort of got this narrative in my mind now that that's something that's never going to be a generator of wealth. That's never going to be a career in the way that it might have been for someone 50 years ago if they really worked at it. Like,
Why not?
mean, I think a lot of people that were consuming that now consume things like Twitch, or now consume things like podcasts, or now consume.
Listen, hear me out. Hear me out. Like, I hate to interrupt you, but like, hear me out
Please,
here.
please.
Like, it's like, I'm a musician myself, right? Like, what I love, like, we're both artists in that sense, right? Like, expressing ourselves through the arts is a very efficient way of expressing ourselves. Like Whether you interpret it the way I want you to or not is a different story, but it's very efficient. This is how I see the world, so I'm just going to scatter it out there, kind of thing. Uh, don't you think you're doing that right now on Twitch?
Yes, absolutely. That's part of why I feel passionate about it, because though I wanted the written word to be the medium, this is as close as I've gotten.
Though I wanted the plucked string to be the medium, this is as close as I've gotten.
And it's way closer. It's not like a little closer. It's way closer than anything else.
Well, did you have one fan before?
For my writing, do I count as my own fan? Can I? Because I love my shit.
No, you don't.
No, not really. No. Okay, here's a way I would put it as well. Is that
you do on here?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I view it as moving with the times. And
I just want to say before we go ahead, that was not meant to be an insult to your writing, and I know you didn't take it that way.
No, of course not.
In case anybody watching takes it that way, the point is trying to say that it's very hard to get your art out there, and sometimes in today's climate, it's easier to just get yourself out there as an artist.
Yep. And this is a good transition into like another issue I had, which was like the commodification of the self. I've had friends talk to me about that are really against, like they're like, how can you put a cam on yourself? Like, how can you, not like how can you, it's a bad thing, but like how are you able to like feel comfortable doing that? Like they sort of think of it as the end game of capitalism, where you are the commodity. Like we started with products.
Capitalism, the start of new Marxism, right?
Hey, maybe.
That's what I look at it as. Is like no, this is true capitalism, and that's why people believe. That's why people say, "I believe in capitalism," because this.
Yes.
Because I am there, and the camera's on me, and I am deciding what games I play, and I am deciding it's mine.
It's very pure.
It's mine.
And it's self-determined, yeah.
The other day, I'm sitting there. I'm playing Final Fantasy. Where's my controller? Got my controller in front of me. And I'm like this, right? Like I'm in like hour 8 of my stream. You know what I
love that hour. I love that hour where it gets a little loose, like.
The chin is very pronounced, and he goes, "You fat fuck," and I'm just like,
whoa.
So I'm like playing the game. I don't see it for like 2 minutes, right? And I'm just like, ban.
Straight back.
Like, it's very much like no, like there's no like. I don't have to punch you in the face because you are coming at me in a way that is non-threatening.
Yeah, and it's your sphere as well. Like it's your thing.
Right. I don't have to protect it because you bring no danger.
Yep.
So see ya. And you don't like. It's weird because if I walk down the street and some guy was just like, "You fat fuck," I'd be like, "Oh man, why would he say that?"
Yeah, that's fucked up.
But it's fucked up, right?
Yeah,
but all of a sudden on Twitch, you're like, you're just a keyboard warrior living in your world. I'm just a keyboard warrior living in my world.
Yeah,
I just choose not to be an asshole about it.
I love that attitude. I love that attitude, and I love.
Yeah.
There is a lot I love about it. Like it's self-determining. No one's there if they don't want to be there. And even if they've got some weird reason that they think they should be there, that's them. No one has to be. Everyone's there because they want to be there. I can't blame anyone if things aren't going well but myself. Like I love the purity of it all. There's no one for me to look. It's no boss for me to go, if they weren't restricting me, this and that, or if, like I love being self-determining. And like I love the good that comes with that, and I also love the responsibility and the like honesty you have to have with yourself that comes with that as well,
Yeah, and I think that it's important too. If you're gonna do something like what we're trying to do,
Mm.
um, and the question is, why are we trying to do what we're trying to do? But like,
Great question.
if we're trying to do what we're trying to do,
Mm.
then it's, my mom said to me, my stepmother said to me,
Mm.
uh, uh, like, are you familiar with Mr. Rogers? So
Kenny
Mr.
Rogers?
Rogers, no. Kenny Rogers, yeah, no. Mr. Rogers is a staple in North America.
Okay.
He was a children's program, and it was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So the camera
Mm.
would zoom in on this like a toy train set
Okay.
around a city model, and then would zoom in, and then it would go to like a set where Mr. Rogers would come in. He had a cardigan on. He was like the quintessential white man of the 60s, right?
Okay.
Cardigan,
Yeah.
whatever. However,
Mm.
uh he was the first person he was the first person to invite a black man on his show back in the 60s in
Mm.
America.
Mm. Mm.
And in the show, it was a hot day, and the black man was a policeman walking by, and he invited him to come dip his feet in the pool.
Okay.
And so it was almost a show of just like, not only do I respect you as another person,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my feet and my appendages in still water with you.
Yes. Yes.
Which is when you think about it, right? When you think about our human evolution, that's a big thing.
That's a move of trust. That's a move of
You're an
trust.
other, you're an other, and I'm gonna put my body in disease pool with you.
Yeah, you got some still liquid, and I'm dipping the toes. Let's go.
So they did that together. He was one of the first people who did that.
Yeah.
But he was always this really gentle man his life mission was like, we should all just get along. And he
Yeah.
talked like this.
How are you finding that? Like, have you had any experiences of feeling a kind of like a tension between trying to grow, trying to push a channel forth, and having to face your own sense of like acting in good faith? Like, have you had any moments where you're like, oh, I don't know?
Right. In June and July, it was kind of like, what am I doing? Right? Like, okay, I've got these people joining my channel. I don't know them that well, but they're showing up every day.
Mm.
There's people who have opinions about this and that. Oh man, like you're gonna get a laugh out of this, but there was a legitimate moment. You're gonna get a good laugh out of this. There was a legitimate month where I was concerned about the way that I was talking about Final Fantasy X. And I mean it. I mean it. Because I was like, man, all these people here love this game, and I fucking hate this. I seriously think this is one of the worst RPGs of all time.
I took perverse pleasure in your hatred of that game. Like I
know you
loved
did.
bringing it up. Like it just because for me it's like, oh, so what, you hate it? Like that's kind of funny. But like people felt pretty. I didn't realize how much people liked that game. I love that.
Oh yeah,
game.
no. I mean, I really offended. In fact, one of my main viewers, Relvanth, I'm pretty sure he doesn't watch me anymore. The last time he watched me was when I made that tier list video that you cast on your channel, and I gave Final Fantasy X a C.
Yeah, I didn't really like you. I'm pretty sure you put Final Fantasy VIII as a C tier as well. So unsubscribed.
But he hasn't showed up on my channel since, and that's fine. Relvanth, man, I love you still. You're a dude. You're a G. You helped me. You taught me the most about Final Fantasy VIII. So you're still a G. And if you don't like me because of my Final Fantasy X opinion, I respect you still.
That's your right. That's your right, Relvanth. We love you.
That's your damn right. We love you. But
still pretty funny.
No, that was a legitimate thing. But then I don't know if you remember. I think we talked about it a little bit. There was like 2 weeks, I think, near the end of July, where I just stopped streaming.
Yes. I remember.
I
remember I remember not seeing you. Like I remember like because you sort of get used to sometimes the patterns of the streamers you're most affiliated with in terms of rating, in terms of like just place to hang out. And you just notice when people are absent for over a week.
If you look at our climate right now, like in our last 2 weeks or whatever, everybody's been on, right? Everybody's been on at all different times. Like it feels normal. It feels like this
people
person's
are
on, I
pumping.
can raid this person, blah blah blah. But yeah, no, there were like 2 weeks where I stopped, and it was because I was like, do not stream an entire series of Final Fantasy. Everybody out there, don't do it. But I felt like I committed to this ridiculous job, right? And I had like 2 games left, and I did the wrong thing by leaving the 2 that I didn't like
till
the
end.
end.
So just to stop you on that point, I think I can imagine some of the issues that would happen. Like, I think I can imagine just burnout, getting tired of the same game patterns, the same tropes, the same shit over and over again. I love Final Fantasy, by the way, and I know you do.
Yeah.
But like, what was it about doing that whole thing that, like, what was it that really you found the most problematic?
Well, the thing I'm finding the most problematic right now is looking at my vampiric colored skin that I just noticed. Look how white my arms are.
You look like my character from Fallout 3 that I made today.
It might be the lights. Hold on.
But conversely, I'm very red and flushed. Like, I look like
I'd take that at any time. Okay, wait. There we go. Right, that's better, right?
You look great. Dude. You look fucking fantastic.
No, I'm just kidding. So the question was, what was the question?
Question was like what you found, because you were sort of saying you were alluding to how much of a struggle you had towards the end of that Final Fantasy marathon. And I guess I just wanted to know specifically what did you find the most problematic about it?
So, okay, this is something that I actually spoke about recently. For those of you who don't know, Porto and I and a few others recently started a bit of a group chat about just amongst low grade, like D tier streamers talking about what works for you and what doesn't.
D+ tier, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. C- actually. But Audax recently posted something. Audax Smoke, and we've mentioned him a few times, and you should still check him out. But he mentioned people. He said, "What do you guys feel about people requesting games in streams?" And so it's interesting. By the last 2 games in Final Fantasy. Well, that's really interesting, actually. So let me get on points. By the last 2 games in Final Fantasy, I started to feel like I was playing for the viewers, and I was not playing for myself.
I see.
So it became a job, right? I had to get on there, and I had to progress in this game, or else my whole thing has failed, right? This is my plan. This is what I wanted to do, and it's gone.
Yeah.
This is my shot. This is my chance at getting somewhat of a following on Twitch. So do it, right?
And you want to be consistent as well. Like, you want to do what you said you were going to do. Yeah.
Well, I told you earlier in this podcast. Sorry, dirty word.
It's not a podcast. It's a long form conversation.
Thank you. It's a video long form conversation. I don't like. My least favorite thing in the world is when people are disingenuous.
Yeah.
That drives me to, like, that makes me want to drive my head in, like, I want to crash a car into a wall.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me lose faith in humanity. When you're not who you say you are, and when you are not honest with what you want to do, that I can't take it. So when I felt like this is not what I wanted to do, this is what I'm expected to do, it started to feel like the old shitty jobs that I had.
Yeah, you become an agent of that same thing, in a way.
I become an agent for your entertainment, and I do not become an agent for my own success. And whatever success means, it doesn't necessarily mean money. It can mean happiness, right?
Yep.
So I took like basically 2 weeks break, and I went out to the countryside. I saw my family, and I just reconnected with my cousins, and we touched and hugged and talked, and you know, I was able to return as kind of a new man. And I was
Mm.
like, nope, I'm doing this for myself. I am uh, from now on Mondays. I took inspiration from you. I made a schedule.
Mm.
Um, Mondays are going to be Final Fantasy. Tuesdays are going to be what I want. Wednesdays are fighting games,
Fight
and
nights.
Thursdays are Final Fantasy fight
Yeah.
nights.
Mm.
And I've tried to follow that, but I don't get too hard on myself. It's like
No,
I'm going
no,
to
I don't
stream
think
when
you
I
should
want to
be.
stream.
Yeah, yeah. I that's something that I sort of had this thing where I wanted to, from the outset, project a dependable thing. I wanted to
Okay.
be dependable. Like, not that I'm not, I just wanted to be dependable. I wanted people to know that, like, he's going to be doing this on this day, he's going to be doing that on that day. But I think there are some issues with that, though, that I've run into as well, where, like, kind of like what you said, I've just had times where I'm just like, but I'd rather be doing this on that day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you see that, and you don't always know that you're going to wake up that way, or you don't always know it's going to be that until you're in it.
Of course, your life is your
And
life. It happens.
your life is your life. And it's actually taken me a little while to gain the confidence in confidence in myself, confidence in my viewers, just confidence in general in the decision to just be like, you know what? We're done with this today. Like, we're done with this today. You know?
Dude.
I think it's important to be able to do that.
It is, and I want you to know, and I think I know you feel the same way. That's the thing is, the thing that I've loved. I'm just going to jump ahead here. The thing that I've loved the most about Twitch, and
Mm.
we've talked about this before, is the fact that I've met people who are around my age, and they seemingly have been through similar situations,
Mm.
and they're kind of doing the same thing. We're all
Mm.
different people, right?
Of
We all
course.
have different interests and whatever, but it's like there's a commonality there,
Mm-hmm.
and we can all kind of laugh at the same shit. We've all
Yes.
seen the same shit.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so as a fan, and I think it's the same for you. That's the thing. You got to treat yourself as the same way you treat me. So if you see me end my stream at 7 o'clock, I'm just like, I'm just not feeling this today, guys. We're gonna go raid somebody else. Catch you later. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
I guarantee that you don't think any less of me.
Of course not. Of course not.
So why would you assume that anybody's thinking less of you?
It's a very good point. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I think what it took was for me to really know a lot of my viewers and to know that they wouldn't feel that way about me, like to know, like, once you build those relationships with the viewers and it's becomes feels like a two-way thing.
Yep.
That's when I guess I got the confidence that wouldn't be a problem.
Well, I think every small community like this starts with people like Ezrin, Spudsy, Ichikai, Cece.
CC. There's a bunch of them,
Yeah,
like
there's a
Trout,
bunch of them.
Blue
Was it
Assegai,
Clinton something?
Clintonius.
Clintonius, thank you. And then there's Relvanth, and there's Pebbles, and there's Audax. Like, there's all these people that are just there every day, And suddenly I don't feel bigger than them. I just feel like the guy in the group who's sharing his webcam right now.
Yeah, it's like they're at your place. They're at your place, basically.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like they're fans demanding something of me. It feels like we're just hanging out, and I've decided to turn my webcam on.
Okay, this is a good point then for me to ask about
Yeah.
if because that's exactly how I feel too. And that's like a very comfortable, rewarding point to be at, I think, you know. And I'm
Yep.
grateful I'm grateful every time someone I recognize shows up because I'm like, oh my god, they're back. Hey, you know, how you going?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a good feeling. And but then I guess that leads me into the question, where do you sort of see this going? Do you have a long-term plan? Are you like, do you have a goal? Are you just play it day by day? How do you see this playing out in your future?
When I was in Montreal, um, I was playing music with a group called the Blacksmiths, and
Nice name.
it was a great name, wasn't it? I
Mm,
love it. And
mm,
we just played free jazz, and we would basically be like a jam band that focused on hip hop and jazz.
dope.
We like to consider ourselves the precursors to chill hop, but there's no proof. Um, but like what I always wanted. So I won't get ahead of myself. Eventually, we found this group in Montreal called, and if anybody here is watching and can get to Montreal, Calmunity and The Cipher, and they were
The
two
cipher.
groups that were just collectives of musicians
Mm,
who helped each other out, played music, and
mm,
just like used each other for each other
yep.
in perfect cooperation.
It's great. Love that.
Um, and I was so inspired, and I thought to myself, like, man, like that's the way you do anything. And like we can get like we talked about politics a bit first. I don't want to get too communist about this, but it's like everybody is better in a group. Everybody is better when you have a private, an ensign, and a sergeant. And it doesn't have to be the like the hierarchy. It can be sergeant, 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 right? Like it can
Mm,
be anything, but everybody is better in some sort of team.
yep.
And I
Agreed.
started to think to
Agreed.
myself on Twitch, I was like, at first it was like, okay, let's see how far I can take. Let's see how many subs I can get. Let's see if I start making any bit donations. Let's see what it does. Let's just see what it does.
Yeah.
No harm.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost me anything. Let's just do it.
Mm,
Then I started to meet people like you, people like Audax. My brother started to get back into streaming.
mm,
Uh, and then I started to meet like viewers like Ezrin and Kai and Spudsy
mm,
and Kamikaze
mm.
in Audax's channel and Zozuija. A lot of these viewers that I considered personally to be just as important as the people on camera, right? They're
Yeah.
just as much as of the show as I am.
They contribute to they can generate the content through that's like the beautiful thing about Twitch, right? Like they are involved in the content directly in live in real time.
Exactly. And when you have your portrait of a portrait of a content, that's a good name of for a poem.
Nicely done.
Um,
Haiku.
when you have a video that sort of cements um, the product that you created on the fly with your
Mm,
viewers, they become just as much a part of it as you are,
hell
right?
yeah.
You're
Mm,
you're on camera, you're controlling the character, you're controlling the scene changes, but Ezra and Spudsy and Cranberry are the ones telling you you're a salty bitch. And that's making you laugh, right? Like
yeah.
that's like it's helping control the thing. So I started to see Twitch as like this thing where it's like I can just interact with a bunch of people who are like-minded with me. And
Mm,
maybe rather than me try to succeed on my own
mm,
through people's subs and whatever, maybe we can find a way to build a community, right? Like maybe we
mm,
can find a way to support each other, grow each other's subs and whatever, and maybe who knows what it turns into? Maybe we make YouTube videos together. Maybe we
mhm,
do
mhm,
multi streams together.
mhm.
Like it doesn't really matter at this point. It's kind of irrelevant. It's just I started to see Twitch as this. opportunity to meet like-minded people where I could hang out and do things with.
Yep. That's great. I got in it because I liked games. I had free time. I think I had the skill set. Have present tense. Former English teacher. Present tense. I know my tense. I know my verb tense.
We both do. Come on.
Absolutely. And straight up, I wanted a different source of income. Source of income. Absolutely, 100% honest. I wanted a different source of income. Yeah. The thing that I've seen, and this is like what you're saying, is the best way is to come up together. And so there is a way that it doesn't come at the expense of the people that are involved. In fact, like you say, everyone brings each other up. And I've seen that in certain old, well, not old, but more tenured YouTube type channels, where it might be gaming related, it might be more sport related, it might be art related, it might be lit crit, it might be pop culture, but you sort of starts with 1 or 2 people or 3 people, and then they kind of combine, and then someone else comes into the fold, and then they collaborate, kind of like hip hop as well, like how hip hop albums are all about features, and someone's on so and so's album, and that makes that bigger, and then they get some of their fan, and it just kind of everyone rises up together.
And they're always going to reference each other, even if it's indirectly, right? Because it's just you become a part of this thing that people want to consume.
Yes.
And if you're a part of it too, then you'll be indirectly referenced all the time because you're a part of it. Right? I think that's kind of what I see when you see the lit crit community, right? Someone who's doing it knows who the other person who does it successfully is.
Yes.
Because that's almost how they got into it, or that's who they're watching to see what does well, or they're critiquing them. In any sort of way, if you're interested in this, you're gonna find somebody else who's interested. That's just the way of the internet.
Absolutely.
And if you get big at it, you're gonna know everybody who does it.
And I think Twitch actually does. I don't think I'm experienced enough in it to really have a definitive statement or stance on the platform, but I do think that it does a pretty good job of encouraging that. Once I learned the raid button, that was just a whole new thing. Even just in the way I perceived it, it's you take. Not only do you do the stream and you take the viewers and they kind of direct you in a way through this kind of experience, but then you conduct the next station, and now we're going over here.
That leads me to a very important question that I have had on my mind for a long time, and this is a great opportunity to ask it. Do you view your raids as currency?
Social currency?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, me too, I think.
There are a few people or streamers, well, same thing, who I try to make sure I raid on some kind of basis. Yep. It doesn't have to be a lot. It might be even just once a fortnight, or I just try to sort of do. Or for example, if someone raids me, and I feel a certain good faith in the act, though that's a little intangible sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other topic, but
yeah. Well, maybe you're talking about Dollar or Blue Assegai.
Absolutely. These guys, Carrion, Zachary Son, there's a ton of them, and they're all great, and that they're doing it in the right way. I think they're on my radar of people that if I see them, I'm like, oh yeah, let's raid them, because I know what they make is going to be good for the viewer. I know the connection is I know all of these people are different, but there is a similarity, some weird similarity that's intangible. But I do also view it, like, coming back to your question, as a form of, like, you know, like, thank you, and you know, I'll scratch your back as well, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I think that's important. I think that's supportive. That's like fucking support right there, you know.
Yeah, and I think that, like, yeah, so the reason I ask it is because I've been wondering the same thing too. And it's not often that I feel like, bad because I didn't raid somebody.
No.
Um, but like sometimes, it may happen that's like, oh, I've been talking to Audax all day, and then he comes online, but Porto's been streaming for 2 hours. He's got 10 people in there. I got 12. I can bump his viewer count to 22.
I think any streamer will understand that, you know, like, in the reverse
Yeah.
situation, like, if I would understand why, like, there are circumstances where it would make more sense for you to raid somebody else than me. And I would totally respect it, because there's times that I've done that. Like, that's just how it is.
And that's an important thing to realize, is that, like, what you feel about yourself, how you feel about how you view what other people do, probably is the same as how other people.
Yep.
Just because somebody sees me online with 16 people, because, man, Kingdom Come's been a godsend. Let me tell you.
Fuck yeah. Dude, that game's really good. That game's, like, sick. I love watching that game.
So good. But, like, it's like, who do I want to give these to? And part of it is, who do I want to gift these to? But the other part of it is, because, okay, here's another thing that's left unsaid. How deflating is it? Because to me, it's deflating. When I raid somebody with my chat that's been active, and it's like a 3-person stream, and their shit goes up to like 16, and then in a minute it goes down to 6.
That's not, well, yes, no, it is kind of deflating, because I view it as an opportunity lost. Like, I say, like, shit, like, because what that means is that the stream is not appealing to the people, or the viewers might, just, they might have been ready to go to bed or whatever. But that happens for me, like, so I try to do the random raids once in a while. Like, once in a while, I'll be like, probably 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, I'll be like, let's just raid a random. Probably like 1 in 4. And
yeah.
There's been times, like, I just think it's a good networking thing. It's also a thing, like, to I guess, not to be too predictable as well. Like, even though there's things I will do over and again, and I'll continue to do over again, that's what I like to do, like, to just try hit someone random. But there's been times where I've done that, and it's like, oh shit, like, I think I've met, because I tend to try and raid really small streams. It seems like
that's noble and good.
But sometimes they're not ready for it. Like, sometimes they're like, oh Jesus, 12 people dropped in here, and they're kind of like, and sometimes I've had people who just, like, don't even, like, there was this one time I raided this dude, and I won't say the name, like, and I, like, they had barely any follows, barely any views, and that's cool. I was like, oh, someone's starting out, and they kind of, like, didn't even seem appreciative of it. They just almost felt like it's like they expected it to happen to them by virtue of exist. And I was like, oh man, I felt kind of bad about that. And the views dropped. And
hey, Porto, thanks for the raid.
Yeah, thanks for the raid. Anyway, and that's fine. Like, people are allowed to do whatever they want, and I'm not expecting a fucking a gold medal. But the thing that I did view as a waste was like, shit, I probably could have brought those people to XYZ streamer who I know people get along with, who they have some relationships with their people in chat, and I felt like I kind of fucked the viewers over a little bit. Like, that's the loss I feel sometimes.
Even if I had 1,000 concurrent viewers, and I rated somebody who was really small, it wouldn't be their lack of appreciation that bothered me. It would be that I took people that were enjoying my content to somewhere where they weren't enjoying it.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that would piss me off more than anything. It's like you said it perfect. I'm not expecting a gold medal, you know? I'm
Mm,
not
mm,
expecting anything. But I will
mm,
say I can relate to those people who don't know because
mm.
early on in my Final Fantasy stream, I streamed Final Fantasy 4 and I had
Nice,
like
nice.
an average of 3 people in the chat, right?
Dude, there was a time when 3 was fucking dope for me. I would have loved 3.
Wasn't it? Wasn't
I
it?
was like,
Yeah.
shit, I'm nearly at that affiliate status.
Yep. I'm depressed if it goes below 11 now, but like but it's like this guy rated me with 72 viewers. And I was just like
Dude, really?
I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to entertain all of you. I don't know what to do, right? Like
Yeah,
and
dude,
so
72 is quite a lot.
it's a lot. You know,
Especially then. Like, especially when you're like
when
starting.
you just start now I would know what to do with 70 viewers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I know my brand, as lame as that sounds. I know
No,
my
no,
brand. I know
it's
what to
important.
do.
Mm,
I know what my show is about, right?
mm.
I've started to call my Twitch broadcast Cranberry Pudding TV.
Nice.
Um,
Like it.
just to really just like make a distinct barrier. This is my show, and this is my life.
I think the
Um,
emote solidified it. I think the emote
I
really just, that was it. That was the signature.
when you're editing this, I
Yeah.
need you to just put up that needs to flash on the screen. I'll send you a good full screen version of that picture.
100% will do. Will do.
Yeah.
Would love to.
And it may have, but I think that's so weird that you bring that up because I think that like it's so weird to say it, but that emote has done a lot for me. Like I said,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
I dropped in on Karen's or Saren? Karen?
Carrion. Carrion.
Karen, sorry. I dropped in on her chat.
Carrion.
And before
Carrion.
I had time to say anything, not only was it Agaskun, who I have neglected to mention when I've been trying to shout out the best of the best of
Another great one.
followers.
Another great one. Yeah.
But Agaskun is not only the best of the best of followers, but the best of the best of streamers.
He's a great streamer. He's quietly just been like building a really good thing as well. Like
Killing it. I love
Yeah.
what he does.
Yeah.
And
I spend a lot of time
him.
in his
I
channel.
think he's a good man, and I love him.
He's another person I'm going to try and get that I'd like to speak to on this because
Yes.
he's got an interesting life right now. Like the Japan connection.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of things I'd like to speak to him about.
Yep. The LGBTQ connection being in Asia, you know,
In a country where you can't marry someone of the same
I'm
gender.
and I've talked to him a bit about it, and it's like, wouldn't want to be in your shoes, man, but like, fucking, like,
Yep.
good on
Al-
you, you know?
Also, being a streamer who can stream in multiple languages. I guess that's part of what really motivated me to want to do something like this, like have these conversations, is that, for example, I knew that we would be able to shoot the shit and just have great talks because we've just done it just because we just did for our own interest.
Yeah. But we also have a lot in common.
We do. But
Right.
then I think a lot of the people that have been drawn to the channel, your channel, my channel, or that I've been drawn to their channel, or you've been drawn to their channel, or whatever, however the connection has happened, I think there are underlying connections, and it's not just gaming. Like what motivates somebody to broadcast themselves playing certain games? Like what draws people to play RPGs? Why do people want to do this kind of thing? Like why is it that people want to express this about themselves? Like a thing with, I see it all the time, like where, Cece will ask like, oh wow, what kind of guitars you have, because she's musically inclined. And so there's that connection. And then there's the Japan connection with JP. And then there's the Audax Smoke, I feel has like he's got the music connection too, actually, but I was going to say the smart stoner. Yeah, well, there you go. I didn't even know that.
That's how we actually kind of connected.
Damn.
We're both just like, yo, you trying to get through this shit? Be like, yo, you trying to get through this shit? Like, yeah. What do you take? What do you
Yeah.
take? Like, and it was
Yeah.
great. It was great, and it was just like, yeah, I'm fucked up. I like to smoke weed and play retro SNES games.
And the
It's
stories
like,
there, he makes his own music. Like, I'm
yep.
sure there's so much about that dude that I would love to fucking hear, like,
Oh my
and
God, he's such an interesting guy.
yeah.
And I hope if he sees this, he doesn't take any offense to me saying this, but I just think that he lacks a bit of confidence in saying, but like, he's so insanely musically talented
Mm,
and he's intelligent.
yep.
Yeah, like you said, intelligent stoner,
Quick-witted. He's very
right?
quick-witted. I've noticed that as well.
Yep. And he's nice, and
Mm,
he cares about you, right?
yep.
You
Yep.
can tell as soon as you pop in there, he cares about you, and it's part of his nature. So yeah, he's a great dude. Yeah.
There's just so much of that, like, and like, I didn't mean for this to turn into a like, who can I list to shout out and who am I going
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
inevitably
know.
forget and sound like an asshole for doing it. But like,
Yeah.
they're just examples of there's going to be stories there, and like, there's a connecting factor in the Twitch thing, but there's something oddly humanizing. Like, there's something oddly, um, yeah, for lack of a better term, connecting about such a platform.
And it's precisely that makes me think that like I haven't once thought that I was name dropping.
Mm,
I've always thought that I'm just talking about the people that we exist with.
yep. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not about shouting out Audax. It's about saying Audax is really important to me because Audax is
Mm,
a part of my life now. Like
yeah.
like like Porto is a part of my life
Legit.
now,
Legit.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have become a part of your life now, right? Like, we've become a part of our lives in the last 4 months, and it's weird, and it's good that we're talking about this
Mm.
because fuck, that's hard to do these days.
It is weird.
Uh, yeah.
I've
And
I've
we and to anybody watching, we have not discussed previously that we were gonna get sentimental and say it's good to talk to you.
it's on page 17 of not a podcast
none, of,
plan.
none of this was planned. By the
Um,
way, not a podcast is a good name for a series.
it's not
Go
a
ahead.
podcast. It's not a fucking podcast. So
Not, not a fucking
that's
podcast is even better.
not a fucking podcast. All right. Um, a weird thing is, I've spoken about people like you to people in real life. Because when people ask me, it's like, when people who I knew from a different life, i.e., from work or from sport or from socializing or from relationships or whatever, prior to all this, ask me about stuff. They have no stake in Twitch. Like, they just know me from other things.
Yeah.
And so it's
It's not a
almost
part of their life, right?
no. I have friends who are gamers. I have friends who
Sure.
are like, I have a friend, Get Smart, actually, who does incidentally stream on Twitch. He's a Magic the Gathering player.
Yep.
But I don't
We
think
should
he's
have
like,
to play sometime soon. After
we
we're
do.
done this, we're gonna play one round of Magic.
Dude, let's do it. My other
Yeah.
friend my other in real life friend who just popped in to chat briefly today while he was working. Him and I've gotten him on Discord, and he's been streaming his screen while he's playing MTG, and I'm coaching him to wins. So
Nice.
hell yeah, let's do it.
Damn,
And he's
I'm fucking freaking out here. I'm gonna lose, but go on.
no. I mean, that's the beauty of Magic, is that
No, it is. Yeah.
you never win 100% of the time if you're the best, and I'm not great.
And I've told you about the raid train, right? My favorite thing on Twitch, the raid
It's
train.
great. The raid train's so good.
See where your raid takes you. Leave Twitch open and wake up in the morning and see what the hell you're watching.
Who are you with? Yeah.
It's my favorite, man. And like part of my joy on Twitch is passing you the raid. The
Mm,
raid that was given to me, right? Because I know that
mhm,
you start after me. And sometimes on the days that you're not streaming, Audax starts after. I start earlier than all you guys. Audax starts,
mm,
and then I get to watch him pass. Audax passes it on to Bizad, my brother, right?
mm, mm, mm,
Or
mm.
whatever. And it's just this, like it's this chain that happens,
It's great. It's
and
great.
it's this, like you said, it's almost like coworkers,
Yeah,
right?
almost like an unofficial network that we're like
Yeah.
running within the network. That like we're
And
sort of. Sorry.
when you feel like somebody else is benefiting from it, and when you feel
Mm.
like somebody else is growing from it, you start to feel that you're growing from it too,
Yes, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Because I know, so the biggest reason that I've stuck with, and I constantly mention you and Audax. The reason is because all my viewers like to go watch you, and they like to go watch Audax.
Mm,
And they're
mm.
like, "Yeah, you guys are all the same guys. You just chill and talk shit on Mass Effect or whatever." You know what I mean?
Mhm,
It's the
mhm, mhm.
same experience. This is what I
Yep.
came here for.
Yep.
Um, and it feels like great, right? Even if I'm the earliest guy and I don't get the raid because I stream before them,
Mm.
I feel like, well, Ezrin's a regular in my chat right now.
I love that. I
You
love
know what I mean?
seeing that. Like, it's happened more and more recently where I've gone into, like, for example, when you rated Carrion the other day, and you were like, oh, because Carrion like followed. I'm like, Carrion's great because like I've sort of had a bit of a thing with her channel for not that long, but like for a few weeks now, and I'm like, she's good people, and it's like nice to see those seeds. They just form. Those links form without you
Yeah.
knowing them. I love that shit.
Yo, low key, non-committal, non-creepy.
Mm.
I fell in love with her that night. I was just like, you are like, I love everything.
Yeah,
Talk, the way you talk, the
so
way you do
chill,
your thing.
so chill,
Yeah, exactly. I just
so
want to
chill.
like hug you for like 10 minutes or something.
Also, like I have I've had a long time longing to spend some time in Malaysia, and
Oh,
like
really?
yeah,
She's
hell
from
yeah,
there, right? Yeah.
yeah, KL, and that's like so that's something I want to find out more about.
Yeah, and it's so that brings me to this other girl. This girl that I rated one time. I rated her one time
Mm.
because she was playing Final Fantasy VIII. I'm gonna just find it right now. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna
FF8,
have.
yes. What a game!
Yes,
What a game!
her name is Maya, and she's from the Philippines.
Mm.
And she streams Apex Legends and Final Fantasy, which is like
What a
I
combo!
love those games.
That's
Um,
the cranberry combo right there.
and we've started to get along, and it's like, man, you're from the fucking Philippines. Like, when would we have ever met? Never.
Never,
You know?
never,
When
never,
would I have ever met you? Well, probably more
never.
because my family's Australian, so I could just go there. But
Still very unlikely, right? Like it's
still very unlikely.
the
It's
odds.
it's this weird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not weird because how easy do you make friends with people in the schoolyard? Pretty easily when you're a kid.
When you're a kid, it's like, do you like Transformers? Yes. All right, let's hang out after school.
We all have 5 friends or something around that number, right? That we
Yep.
grew up with. That's a
Yep.
common thing that everybody has. They got
Absolutely.
4, 5, 6, 2, 3, whatever, somewhere around that. They got a group of friends that they hung out with, and they know everything about. It's like it's almost the same thing on Twitch,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Oh, do you like video games? Like, oh, you
You,
like our boy?
you're a fan of our boy?
Our boy? Because I like our boy too.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
good
no,
boy. He's a good boy.
and it's a very what's the opposite of disheartening?
In heartening,
It
probably.
is a very heartening experience
Mm.
to meet somebody who you say, "Do you like 8-bit RPGs?" You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Yeah, I do. Also, I'm 34." Hey, I'm also 34. Like, that's a really heartening thing, and you don't just get that. It's.
You don't.
Can I just say one more thing about that? Is that
Of course. Of course.
uh, oftentimes on the internet, So people may look at this and go, that's just what happens on the internet, right? You meet people, you have similar interests, whatever. But everybody on the internet is a keyboard warrior.
Mm.
I get to look into your eyes right now, Porto.
Yep.
Right?
There's less
No, I
hiding.
mean, yeah, there's no, you can't tell me that you're 6'5", 200 pounds.
This is all scaled to, like, yeah, you're right.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. I can't tell you that I have a six pack. I can't. I can't. Right? So there's no hiding this, right?
Absolutely.
And that's a beautiful thing because we get to see each other for our faults, for our physical faults, and we get to hear each other's faults, but we still get to appreciate the things that we like about each other.
That's a really good point, and that's something where I have been very wary of a lot of social media, a lot of Instagram, a lot of Facebook, a lot of, to an extent, Twitter, a lot of those things that people are commodifying themselves to create this image of perfection. And I'm not trying to like slide anyone for being into those things. That's totally fine.
Of course.
But I think it's, and I'm obviously not the first person to say this, but I do believe that it's a very dangerous thing when people give you these short, filtered, edited snippets of themselves. So they can just, they can be perfect in a moment. And it's like, that's not fucking real though. Like that's not where there's no hiding over an 8-hour stream. You can't fucking hide. Like
I have watched my eyes grow smaller over this. Because I got 2 hours of sleep last night and I'm on my 10th beer. It's like, I've watched it happen. There's no hiding it.
There's no hiding.
You see it.
Hiding. Yeah.
And that's good. That's good because this is the human experience, right?
Yes.
This is what humans do, and it's important to see that.
And that's where I felt much more, I mean, ironically, much more comfortable in the place that you can't hide, because I believe that it's not as harmful. I believe it can actually, enrich people's lives to some extent. Like, I think it can make life better for people.
Is it ironic? Is hiding a comfortable thing? Because I don't think it is. I think hiding is a very stressful thing. I think hiding is something that provides instant comfort and constant sorrow.
Yeah, I think long term it's worse for sure.
I think what we're doing by putting ourselves out there is having faith in ourselves. Right? It's having faith in the fact that, like, I'm not for everybody, And I've certainly had people in my chat that are like, ew, you smoke? And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. like I don't care. Like I just don't care, Like, yeah, some people do crack. I smoke. Like, deal with it, Like
no one's keeping you here if you don't want to be here.
Yeah, you don't have there's 10,000 other Twitch channels. Go, please. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But there's something so beautiful just about like seeing someone be themselves and talk, because you don't see that on the internet. All you see is well, I think the rhetoric that so and so is backspace. Oh wait, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you see this like perfectly constructed sentence that somebody's thought about. You don't get to see me stumble over my words as I'm forming a thought.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And also, but like at the same time, I think that's so, people hate that. In fact, they cancel people over that. I don't want to get this on the topic of cancel culture, but I just want to say, like,
it's here. It's I guess it's not necessarily to be ignored.
People are afraid of doing this because they're afraid that if I smoke on camera, I'll get canceled. If I say the word gay, I'll get, I'll get canceled on camera. Like, I think the world so desperately needs genuine people who believe what they say, who say what they want to say, and do not apologize for it,
and are unafraid to have flaws.
And yes, and all the more better if what you believe and say is for lack of a better term, righteous.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So like,
Explain. What do you mean by righteous? I know what the word means, but
if your true belief, yeah, no, I know it, I know. If your true beliefs are something that is popular,
yep.
but you don't necessarily. Okay, so for instance, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, this is how I talk to somebody when I meet them.
Mm.
I say, I am I'm a thoughtful person. Uh, I try to remain as neutral as I can on all subjects. That doesn't mean that I won't stand up for something if I believe in it. That doesn't mean I won't denounce something if I think I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
But what it means is that I'm not just gonna. When you say something like, "What do you think about gay marriage?" Well, my brain goes, well, I don't like that the government has anything to do with marriage, and I don't think that the government should do anything. So I think all marriage should be illegal, and for that reason, I think marriage should be illegal, and gay people shouldn't get married. But at the same time, if I can get married, then you. I think that
Yes.
we should all. You know what I mean?
Everyone
Like,
should have the same opportunity at the misery that is
yeah,
marriage.
I have this train of thought that just tries to like break down everything and turn
Yes.
it into the most rational way of viewing it.
Ah, you mean critical thinking, Cranberry Pudding.
Have you heard of critical thinking?
I've heard talk of this dark art, critical thinking.
Right,
Yes.
yeah, the dark arts of critical thinking. And it and the funny thing is I tend to err on the side of popularity these days.
Mm.
Because I just think that for the most part, it's right.
Yep.
But like it can be tough to stand by that. But I think that like I found power in saying that. I found a weird power in just saying that online. I don't know if you've noticed that, but like I have not really shied away from saying.
No, not at all. I would say you've been one of the. Let me be careful. One of the intentionally least careful. Streamers. In what you say.
Filtered.
Yeah.
Least filtered for sure.
Yeah. Intentionally, and it's obviously intentional. And
there are definitely things that I do make sure I filter, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about that off camera too, right?
We certainly have.
Yeah, sometimes you have jokes that just are not good, but yes, I do not put up with bullshit. What I consider to be bullshit, like somebody asked me the other day, well, what if somebody came into your chat and referred to a fag as a British cigarette? And I said, I wouldn't give two shits.
Yeah.
I would know exactly what they were talking about because I would know they're British.
Yep.
Like, and they're like, well, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this goes into, we can go down this road of Americanism and how it perverts the whole world. But, I just think on Twitch, I found this beautiful place that I can. Even my brother has said to me, like, oh, I didn't really know the side of you.
Wow. Okay.
And it's this place where I can just be like, nah, or yeah. It's my space.
It's liberating in a way.
Do you feel that way at all?
I do for the most part. Like I feel I'm still wary. Excuse me. I'm still wary of the possibility of being cancelled. I mean, the good news is we're not big enough for that to be an issue, but like just in general, even retroactively. Like like, so remember that time? Like I had a moment that was clipped that some of my viewers will know that was it was a slip of the tongue, but it didn't sound very good. And
was it when you were fighting the bat in Resident Evil 0?
No.
Because I clipped a moment of that when you were like, "Fuck you, bat! Get fucked, bat!"
Like, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. I love that shit. But
You
there
popped
are,
off.
I enjoy being able to do that, but there are times where I'll get into conversations because the conversations with a lot of chat have generally been often more stimulating and deeper than I expected they would be. And so sometimes I'll get somewhere and I'll be like, ooh, there's a line I could, like, sometimes I'll just see it and I'm like, if I was having beers or drinking or whatever, just shooting the shit with friends, not on camera, not being recorded, I might just go a little deeper into that. I might take a harder swerve into that, but I'm just going to take a very shallow dip into it. So like I do feel, for the most part, like I feel I can be 95% myself, which is
Yep. And
a lot
that
more than
comes
I
through.
was anywhere else. Like
I want you to know that it comes through as very genuine.
Okay, good.
Your broadcasts come through as very genuine, and more importantly, like I would say 95% genuine. Like you said, 95% yourself. And the times that it's not that it's not genuine. It's just it's very clear that you're like, so what's Shepard doing today? You know what I mean? Like, it's
How about
very
our
clear
boy?
that you, yeah, it's just very clear that you're like, like, so it
Dude.
doesn't come across as disingenuous. It comes across as just like, somewhat protective, which we all are,
You got to protect what you've built,
Well, yeah, exactly. Good quote.
I enjoy seeing other streamers deal with those situations because it's a live beast. It's an untamed beast. This Twitch universe, and you never really know what's coming.
For as long
Often
as it's
you
been
can.
around, does it not feel brand new? Does it not feel like the Wild West?
I was gonna say it's like a gold rush or like a
Yeah,
Wild West or
yeah.
something like that. And
For as long as it's been around and there are famous people on it that like have created a standard, right?
yeah, it's still not like fully in the lexicon. Like there's still people who haven't heard of it. It's still kind of, it's an exciting time to be in it, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and I think there's room for us too.
Absolutely, and not necessarily just Twitch, just live streaming in general, I think.
Yes.
Twitch might die. I don't know. I kind of hope it doesn't because I've gotten used to it. But who knows, right?
Well, somebody made an interesting post on Facebook. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine from Vancouver, named Victor, and his post was, "It's unbearable." This is paraphrasing. "It's unbearable to me that my university can't figure out how to live stream their lectures, but cam girls and video game players can figure it out no problem." Right?
Dude, it feels like a changing of the guard.
It started. Sure, you put words in my mouth, man. Like it feels like our generation is taking our fun, and like, let's not be afraid to talk about it. Sex is something that we do on webcams now. A lot of people do on webcams, I should say. And video games is something that a lot of people do on webcams now too, right?
Yep.
We have turned our life and our pleasures into sustainable incomes.
Yes, weirdly. But
in spite of the current global climate. It's weird.
It's very, very weird. It's so weird. Like it's just another insanely weird thing that's going on right now. It's a good weird. That's the good weird, I think.
But isn't it weird that like actually our lords are Amazon? Like our lord is Jeff Bezos. But Jeff Bezos actually just allows us to make $1 million if we wanted to.
It's true. It's true, right?
Like it's almost like these if we want to get into philosophy, almost like there's this breed of capitalist like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates who create their own micro economies within their businesses, and the businesses start to become countries, right? You can almost look at Amazon as
It's more
having a
powerful
large.
than many countries.
Oh, it's more powerful than most countries that you know the name of.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, uh, it's Jeff Bezos has created his own country with Twitch. We form
yeah.
our own culture. We talk about similar things.
Has
We
its own
do similar
language.
things. Has its own language.
Has
Like
its own sort of
emotes.
set of rules, and like unspoken rules and spoken rules,
Listen,
etiquette,
uh,
rituals.
you're talking about a new sort of nation building here, and we're a part of it. And if anybody ever says something like, "Man, I wish I was one of those first people that came to America," you could buy land so cheap.
Yeah.
You could get gold so easily, right? Because that's all you hear about are the successful people that did it, right? Which
Mm.
it was way easier to be successful at what they did than it is to be successful at what our parents do.
Mm.
But there's this brand new thing that it's relatively easy to become successful at.
Yep.
It just looks nothing like what they told you in school.
And it doesn't have the structure. It doesn't have the like. Listen to what this person says. Do these things. Like you have to kind of create your own rules, or you have to like make the rules as you go along. It has the risk and the self-reliance of the arts. But in fact, I
Yeah.
think there's
Oh,
far
yeah.
much money in it than most of the traditional arts now. Or at least
Yeah.
opportunity to kind of get it on your own terms anyway.
But see, this is the capitalist dream. That's why I say when it comes to, people like Bezos and Elon Musk and Bill Gates who do these things that create communities, they create ideal capitalism
Mm.
within unideal capitalism,
Mm.
right? They try to create these
Yep.
subsects where it's like you have the ability, right? If you just work hard, you can do it. Pull up your bootstraps, like the old conservative thing. But actually, what they're trying to do is create spaces where you can do that,
Yep. Yep.
right? YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. These are all places where actually, if you pull up your bootstraps, you can do something.
But there's a window. There's a window. Like
There's a
I think
window if
with
you let there be a
everything,
window.
I think
What
there's
do you
always
mean
a
by that?
window. I think that as soon as things have been around for long enough, i.e. the gold rush, a boom of some description, a new, like the industrial revolution, this sort of freedom and prosperity,
Right. Okay.
eventually
Yeah.
people are going to come in and regulate it and control it so that the big fish can suck the most out of it. And I feel like if you don't get in at a certain point, you miss the window.
And they're trying that. It's already happening.
Yeah.
It happened before we were started, right? It's been
Yeah.
happening for 2 years now, I would say, on Twitch especially.
Mm.
On YouTube, there were the MCMs, the multi-channel MCNs, multi-channel networks, where
Mm.
if you started to become big, then these people would reach out to you and sign you, and instead of having to rely on flip-floppy monetary gain from your ad revenue, we'll just pay you a steady salary or whatever, right?
I.e. the
That
old model.
Exactly. That happened on YouTube, and a lot of
Damn.
people apparently for 5 years, PewDiePie was stuck in an MCN, uh,
Really?
where he only made, and this sounds ridiculous, but when you think about what he does,
Mm.
this is ridiculous.
Mm.
He only made $10,000 a month. When yeah, it sounds ridiculous. Like, who would complain about that?
No.
When you
That
think
sounds so low for who he is. Like,
when you think about who PewDiePie is, for anybody 40 and younger, he's the most famous person on the planet.
he's like the godfather of video game streaming.
Yeah, and he's a pariah, right? He's a pariah of YouTube, right? The YouTube corporate has shunned him because
Mm.
he accidentally said the N-word one time.
And he's
And
done all kinds. He's done all kinds of shit.
yeah,
You
he
told me some
paid
of the shit
people
he's
to
done.
say kill the Jews, but like it's clearly a joke.
Yeah.
But like the point is, he took a gamble, and the community stuck with him.
Mm. Yeah.
The guy said the N-word and said "kill all Jews" and got 100 million
And
subscribers.
he's still there.
It's the Wild West.
Still there. Still there.
Yeah. So, a lot of these people are attempting to control what happens. And there's, like we always joke about it on Twitch, right? TOS. Oh, as long as it's not TOS. It's like, I start to think sometimes, like, I don't even give a shit if it's TOS. This is my channel, right? This is my channel.
Yep.
Come here if you don't want to. You know what? Also, I'm in university right now. I actually feel like I'm going to get a really good job with the British Columbian government. I've decided I'm going to change the way my provincial government thinks about ethics. That's my goal with my education in full. So
Okay.
if
Do tell.
I did, well, I would say before I do tell, I would say if I don't act that way now, I'll never act that way.
Do you mean?
If
Do you
I
mean to
can't
say?
tell,
Do you mean? Sorry to interrupt. Do you mean to say
no,
that if you don't act in the way that you hope to push higher structures of government to act, like is it sort of if you don't lead by example now, then how can you ever?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. If I don't say that, um, if I don't take the community that I have helped build, and like we've talked about earlier, I don't claim to have built my community. You're as much of a part of it as I am, and I like to think that I'm as much of a part of it as you are.
Well, we all built it. Everyone built it
exactly,
together.
And by the way, that's the whole point of that. That's the real point of that Discord channel.
Yep.
Is to make I have this. I've talked about it before. As I dream of a where we all help each other. And
Well, that's the point of this too, dude. That's the point of this.
Exactly. I thought it was, and that's why I agreed to it instantly. I've talked to my brother about starting. So, like, okay, we all have our own individual Twitch accounts, right? And we all have our own brands. Sorry, but like, what if you could start a Twitch channel? Just for example, you come up with anything in between, right? What it could be about. What if you started a Twitch channel called the Final Fantasy channel? At 8 o'clock, so and so plays Final Fantasy 1 and does this thing, right? Like, what if you're able to create some sort of collective channel where people have shows on the channel?
I've seen some YouTube stuff kind of like that to a degree. I've never seen it on Twitch.
Well, I have seen it on Twitch, but I've seen people do it so poorly. Basically, they just run off of like, well, when I stream, I stream, and when he streams, he streams.
Right. But there's not much thought put into it.
Yeah, there's no programming thought, right? And so I'm not necessarily saying that like, hey, we should all get together and do that. I'm just saying that like I'm having ideas of like, well, who knows? We all have our own individual Twitch channel, but maybe we all make YouTube videos. And also, it's also like I've tried to suggest a couple times to people like
I like it.
maybe
I like it a lot.
me, you, Audax, and Bizud and Dollar all get together and we play what's that new game that everybody's playing?
Fall Guys?
No, the other one, Among Us.
What? What is this game? Where the fuck have I been? Among Us? What is Among Us?
Okay, so it's this game where everybody there's 8 people and they all control one little sprite guy, right? And you're given a list of tasks to do around a space station. But 2 people are flagged as non-cooperative, let's say.
Oh, yes. I like it. I like it already. Reminds me of like Werewolf or something.
Exactly. So it's the same concept. So you go about and do your tasks, and then all of a sudden you run into somebody who's dead. If you get killed by the usurper, you can't talk. Your microphone gets muted. You can
Sounds fun.
only talk to everybody when somebody calls an emergency meeting.
Okay.
So if somebody runs into a dead body, they call an emergency meeting. Everybody gets together and the mics get open. And then everybody gets to say, "This fucking Porto, man, I saw him down there. He fucking killed the guy." You know, everybody gets to yell.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It's
It
never me.
wasn't him.
Never me.
It was Bizet.
Yeah, exactly. Pervert 69.
But it's a super fun game and people love watching, right?
Yes.
Because they get to see all these people they go into chat with, and they get to see them interact with each other, which is a very special thing.
Those crossovers.
I want to preface this. Actually, what's the opposite of preface? Preface?
Preface. No, prologue is also at the start. Appendix? No.
I would like to create I would like to create an appendix to this.
Yes.
And say that if anybody's watching this that isn't a streamer, or they're fans of us, or maybe you're not fans of us, but you sit in our chat and you're friends of ours.
You enjoy some of the channels or whatever.
We want to watch you guys play that game as much as you want to watch us play that. I would love to watch all the viewers get together and play some game.
Dude, that'd be sick. That'd be sick.
I just want everybody to know that the community means, I think it's easy to look at us as the idols. It's easy to look at us as and I'm using these terms very loosely. Like, it's easy to look at us as like hosts or whatever, but like, we're just on camera.
Yep.
Right? Everybody else you're just as important to the rest.
It's one function of the whole, right? Like it's one part of the machine. Machine's probably a bad analogy, but you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah. Of the collective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that being said, I'm my desire to gather streamers together, because that is more my group. I would love to build this community. I would love to do something. So my biggest idea here, and I'm just going to say it on video, because
please do.
If I don't, it'll never happen.
Yes, make it happen. Prophesize.
I've wanted to get a bunch of streamers together, and I want to play a game, like a good 8-hour game of Civilization 6.
Oh shit!
Where we all stream, and the viewers can bounce between the streams, but none of us can look at each other's streams.
I see.
And so the viewers can betray us if they want to.
Oh, they can rat something out?
Sure.
I guess how are you gonna stop it? Yeah.
You can come to my stream and tell me that Porto is building war. And you could say that, Cranberry's building science. You should go in and attack him.
Damn, I like that.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
That'd be real fun.
Like a good marathon day.
An epic sit down. It's kind of like the idea of sitting down and like a big time board game kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like on a.
But we don't get to interact with each other. The only way we get to interact is bouncing between our channels.
Man, that's crazy. That's a cool idea.
I think it's a cool idea, and I think the more that we can do community things like that, to make sure that the community understands that they're as much of a part of this as we are.
Yep. Well, that's something that's been really positive with my channel, has been the community gaming nights. So like I do them.
Yes.
I've been doing them. I'm actually doing it tomorrow, which by the time people see this, if they see this, will have happened in the past. But
just put it out on a Wednesday. It'll be tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. What he said. So, but I've been doing those every fortnight, and they've been really good. Like I can tell they're very valued by people who engage in them.
Yep.
But they're also very valuable to me. Like I've actually been surprised how like kind of like warm I feel after those community gaming nights, because it does, like, you do kind of get together and you kind of, everyone's having a laugh, and like it's just a good time, you know, and it strengthens things, you know. And so like I wholeheartedly believe in things like this.
It's like poker night. You're hanging out with your buddies, right? And I think it's especially special for us because we don't get to hear everybody's voice all the time. We don't get to hear their personalities.
Yep.
Right? They get to hear ours all the time. But when I first came to your community gaming night and I heard Spudsy talk, it was like, okay, now I know what Spudsy sounds like.
Yeah.
And then I heard like Agus talk.
Yeah.
Now I know, like, you know, he's a little Spanish, like, okay, I'm down here. And, like, it was like, I love you guys. Like,
Yeah, so good.
Exactly what I thought you were. And please never forget the Western Watch.
I never will. Never have.
I never do.
It's impossible.
I think though you're onto something with that community gaming night, and that was an inspiration for me.
I didn't invent it. I stole it, but it's worked out well.
No, but still, I saw you do it, and I thought, okay, Wednesday night fights would be
fights.
Fun, you know? Like,
yes.
Right. It's like, and last week was a huge hit.
CC, I watched last week. I mean, I wasn't fighting with you guys, but I was just in chat. Great.
I destroyed Cece. In case
really, that's not what she claims.
Get out of here! I fucking ruined you. Love you, Cece, but no, it's those are my favorite moments, and it has turned from watching my viewer count at the bottom be 4 and being sad that it's not 10 to
We've all been
being excited that it's 7, because that means 7 people are here.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to 20, I'm stoked.
That's a really good point. Like, it's not that, and that's something that's changed in my perception probably in the last, honestly, probably only in the last like month and a half.
Well, don't you think in the last 3 weeks that viewership's gone down a little bit?
You know what? I had a week where it went fucking gangbusters for me anyway, where it was way up, and I was like, Jesus, like, because I'd been steadily growing, and I
was jealous. I would look at your channel and I'd see like 23.
It's like, dude,
what the fuck am I doing? Yeah.
But you know what happened? I look back on it. There was just a lot of raids. I just got a lot of raids from like extra people, like a couple of not random people, but people who, you know, would only raid once in a while, and it just kind of came together, and then people probably saw like there's like 20 something, and then so they go, oh, well, let's even make this even bigger, and so I looked at that week, and that happened throughout that week, and it was so much. It was like, whoa, a huge spike, and then it went kind of back to what it was, and then it kind of dipped a little bit, and so there was like a 3-week period, and I was like, oh shit. But I don't. The thing is that spike was the anomaly, and like one thing I've realized, I can't look at growth from week to week, because that's ridiculous, because there's too many there's too much variation. Like, you have to look at it from like month to month, or maybe even more than that. Like,
you need to look at it at a much more large scale. I mean, for sure. And I've actually, like, just to confirm what you're saying, because I watch your channel. I watch all my friends' channels, right? I see there's moments where I've seen your like I said, like 23, 29. What is he doing? And then the next week it's like 7, 6. And just the other night when I was Kingdom Come, by the way, has been a blessing.
It's been going off, I've noticed.
2 nights ago I got to 45 viewers.
Woo!
Which is outside of that one huge raid that I got, biggest I've ever got.
I haven't hit that. I don't think I've hit that.
I'm not expecting it to stay. Right, you know what I mean? Like,
that's because you know now through experience that it's like you got to take the good with the bad kind of thing.
it was a one night thing.
Mm,
And the nice thing about Kingdom Come is there were only 7. They naturally funneled towards had the most viewers.
that's a good
Uh,
tip. That's a good tip
it
right
is a
there.
good tip. Yeah,
A good tip
yeah.
right
You
there.
know, it isn't. It isn't because you should always play what you want.
That's a better tip. That's a better tip.
That's a better tip.
2
But
tips.
yes, sometimes if you're debating on which games to play, and there's a game that you want to play, and there's lots of opportunity to get viewers, you should
Mm.
play that game.
Yep. So this is a
Um,
really good point, and this is something that's been going on with me recently. I think I'm going to stop playing one of the games I'm playing. I think I'm done, and I'm not going to finish
God,
it. Have
I'm
you
afraid to
had
hear
experience
which
with
one.
this?
Yes,
Did you finish FF10? I don't want to bring up the PTSD.
yes, I did.
You did. Okay. Congratulations.
I
But
cheated. I cheated.
yeah.
The last boss, like I used the every turn you get a limit break.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
To be
because
like,
I just couldn't deal with it. Like, because I had played it a little bit in the past. Like, I just didn't want to be playing that game anymore.
didn't want to do it. Yeah. Yep.
Nothing was good about it. I didn't think the final boss fight was good. I just thought, anyway.
Yeah, I don't mean to get you on that rant, but
No.
but no, I think I'm doing it with one, and it's like so important. Like the numbers aren't important. Like even if I were to get,
Do we want to say what the game is?
it's Half-Life.
Okay, well
I'm
that's
fucking sick of
good
Half-Life.
because that's good because I was worried that it was Mass Effect.
No, Mass Effect. I finished Mass Effect the other night, and
Good.
I loved it, and
Are
I'm
you
gonna
ex- are
continue
you excited
the
to play it
series.
too?
Yeah,
Good.
hell yeah.
Good.
Pumped.
Mass Effect 2 is the best one.
Everyone says
Um,
this. Everyone says
yeah,
this.
it's easily the best one. It's
Mm,
so fucking good. But yeah, then don't do it. And like,
mm.
okay, so here's something that happened inadvertently the other night. My, I was playing Earthbound, right?
Yeah.
And my save file got deleted.
Oh, you save log. Did you like something happened right where it crashed? Like
And
I was there when your emulator
ZSNES,
crashed.
yeah, ZSNES crashed, and then the save file got corrupt. Like everything just went wrong. Um, and I was like, in the back 25% of the
I
game
feel like
too,
you
right?
you were kind of you were fighting like the Starman, right?
Yeah,
I remember
people
seeing
were
that.
waiting for the conclusion.
Oh,
Uh, and I was getting decent amount of viewers, and it crashed and whatever. And I just posted in my Discord and I said, "This happened, and it's killed my ambition,
yeah,
and we're gonna be starting a new game tomorrow."
yep,
And that
yep,
was it.
yep.
Because no, I don't. I try to stay away from the idea that you're there to see a game, and I try to focus on the idea that you're there to see.
It's very true.
Uh,
It's very true.
and that's so hard to say because that makes you seem like a self-absorbed celebrity, but that's not the case. I mean that you're here to see me and that I have a job to do. You know what I mean? I don't mean that you're here to see me jerk off and smoke cigarettes. I mean that you're
Mhm.
here to see me provide the community that you want to be a part
Yeah, and it's not like I mean, I can't speak for you, but it's not like if people want to see an expert speed run of a game, like if they want to see a game played to perfection minus personality, there's places for that. So
of. Stop
it's
asking, please. Yeah, yes, but yes, I know what you're saying.
so Mr. Pudding, what's happening in the not too distant future for you and the channel, the Twitch sphere? What's
So,
happening for you?
I think it's been a theme that we've spoken about community and that sort of taking precedence over. This sounds weird in today's day and age, but like that taking precedence over the content,
Hmm.
right? Because there's a lot of talk about like you want to provide certain amount of content, like
Sure,
I don't want to think of it as content.
it's a dirty
That
word,
feels
content.
like it feels like I'm selling you something.
Yeah,
And
and
I've always told people that I don't want you to donate to me if you don't believe in me. If you would like me to do this more, then yeah, give me some gas money. You know what I mean? Or give me some some dart money. You know what I mean? Like if you want me to keep doing this, then yeah, help me out. But like if
Some of
you're
that
not,
doobie money.
yeah, well, sure, whatever it is. But like, what I really would like, and I've only figured this out uh, from being in it, is to make more friends and to do this together.
Yep.
Because I think that that's powerful, and I believe in the people that I know and that I've met, and that I think that we can do something. Whether that's 20,000 YouTube subscribers or whether that's 10 million, I don't know.
Who knows?
But it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't
I
matter.
mean, I think that I have met people that I can do something with. You're part of that. And that's what I'm most excited about, is seeing where me and these people that I've met through this experience are going to go.
It is very exciting. And, you know, so obviously as a Twitch streamer, you tend to watch your growth, right? You want to see how you grow.
Yeah.
It's
a virus.
I've become kind of invested in watching other people's growth as well, because it seems interconnected. Like it is kind of maybe not fiscally, but like it is kind of an ecosystem or an economy. Like the immediate, like people coming up is just good for everyone. You know, like it just is weirdly, you know?
Well, and like we talked about earlier with the Wild West thing, right? It feels like we're creating our own village.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it feels like we're living within our own village, and it feels like we're providing for each other in this village, and caring about each other in this village. And I think that is the feeling that I would like to hold and would like to pursue.
Hell
because there's no joy in making it by yourself.
I would agree.
As the greatest hip hop legends have said, it's lonely at the top.
It's lonely at the top.
As Jack Nicholson says in The Departed, he goes like this: heavy lies the crown.
Nice impersonation.
And heavy lies the crown, you know.
There it is.
And I agree. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? Like, what's the point in getting fame? You know, the old adage, the old thing that people did things for: what? Fame, glory, and fortune.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point in any of that if you have nothing, if you have no one to share it with?
And if you're not around people that don't value the same things and are not enjoying those things, right? I agree.
And you can marry and you can have children, right? And you'll love them and you will give them everything. But you know, like realistically, and I've noticed this the last few years, is that like my dad and I are great friends. But like we're very different people.
Yep.
Right? He golfs every Thursday and he plays pickleball. Like
pickleball? What's pickleball?
Yeah, look it up. It's a fucking very old person sport.
All right.
But the point is that like
going in the notebook.
What we've decided to do, he knows that I play Street Fighter, and I take that seriously. So what we've decided to do is talk to each other in the sense of like relating to each other's passion and speaking to each other in a way of like respecting each other's need for competition. Right? So like it's not about the medium, it's about how are you doing competitively?
Yep.
How are you growing? Are you finding this, you know what I mean? And that's been a huge inspiration to me that's what I want to know with my friends, you know? That's what I want to do with my friends. That's what I want to do with people I love and I care about. Like, there's only one way to grow, and it's to have other people to do it with. So
what a great like realization as well in life, like not even just in this, but just in life in general, that like despite what sometimes it seems like in just the way society is structured or just the way things sometimes do pan out. Regardless of how it may seem, your success does not necessarily come at the expense of others. Like, it can almost be a condition for the success of others, which is a great thing to realize.
Exactly. Extrinsic things don't matter. The only thing that matters are values and beliefs. And those will lead you to different extrinsic extracurriculars.
Intrinsic values lead extrinsic. Yes, agreed. Which is the thread that I think connects like so many of us. The intrinsic values.
We want to be friends with other tennis players if that's what we do extrinsically. But what we should want to do is be friends with people who value competitiveness, but they're a tennis player and you're a chess player.
Yes.
You can relate on a level of competitiveness, and that's what matters more than anything. And that's why, I mean, I could go deep into that, but we'll save it for another day.
Let's save it for the next one, huh?
Exactly.
Dude, it's been an absolute fucking pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you in stream. Look forward to hanging out with you. More chats in the future and seeing what happens with all this shit, dude.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I want to thank you on here. That's. I think that's really generous of you and your platform and your time, and to give me time in what you're doing is kind. But also, I think that what you're attempting to do right now is to help grow what you believe in. And,
absolutely.
And I support that, and I want to be there for that.
Dude.
And I want to do it together.
There's a reason you're the first person I called. There's a reason. Yo, Cranberry, thank you so much, dude.
It's magic. Yeah, man. Porto. It's always a pleasure, you know? Yeah, it's always a pleasure, Porto. Whether it be chats or whether it be watching Half-Life, which I expect you to finish.
Oh my god,
I'm just kidding.
Never again.
But I do want to answer that really quickly without having a huge do what you want to do. If you don't like Half-Life, live by it and say no.
Thank you so much. I feel relieved of my duty.
Don't play what you don't want to play.
Yeah.
The reason you played Half-Life was to try out Half-Life.
I'm going to end on this thought. I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think I necessarily want to play it, and I don't think people necessarily want to watch me not wanting to play it. I don't think it's a bad game. Don't at me. It's a good game. Just don't. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. All right, see you guys. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.